May Beladar stay in the light.
So you can't.
This mine's long been abandoned. No telling what you might run into down there. Stay alert.
So, interesting thing. After the maintenance today, you can't even log into the classic era. You can't even log into the hardcore servers. They're like not even there. Like the classic hardcore servers are just gone. Which is, I don't know what's going on with that. That's got to be like some sort of a bug. So. It's got to be some sort of bug. And all the classic era realms are just dead. I mean, they're like Garobulus, which used to be one of the most popular servers. I logged into it, it's just dead, like so dead. So I don't know if it's just, I don't know if they were just dead already or if they're dead now because everybody's waiting for Classic Fresh. Like, I don't think anybody's hardly, I think everybody's playing Classic WoW is like, it feels like the fact that they're coming out with Classic Fresh realms is just absolutely killing all of the regular servers. All the all the current classic era realms. Although most of them were dead anyway, but some of them weren't, so. I've seen a few videos of people complaining about it, like, hey, you released Classic Fresh and now you basically just killed the server that I've been playing on for like 3 years. Which kind of sucks for those people. Yeah.
Lovely.
So today is Tuesday. We still have 2 more days until Classic Fresh. And one of the things I wanted to talk about in this stream is, what I'm really kind of lost on what to play. Like, what server to play on, and what class to play.
Lovely. 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 Lovely.
Well done. Now let's get out of here before we encounter more of those things.
Yeah, so it's weird. I don't know, like, what... I don't know what server to play on. Like, if we're gonna do Classic Fresh on Thursday, what are we going to do is the question. Like, what server? Are we gonna do PvE regular? Are we gonna do PvP? Or are we gonna do hardcore? I kind of want to do hardcore, but I also want to play the Burning Crusade, so it kind of feels like I should create two characters, like one on the hardcore realms to level and one on one of the other servers. Probably the PvP server. The only reason I would play the PvP server over the PvE server is PvP servers generally have a better population and they generally retain the population better. Yeah, they're always going to be more populated. Hey, what's up, Reptilian? Yeah, so I think what I'm thinking of doing is maybe creating a character on the PvP server and then one character on the hardcore server. And just like maybe focusing on trying to maybe level like both. I don't, you know what I mean? That way I've got like, that way if one, I don't like one, I can... Although I'm pretty sure, I got to read the notes again, but I'm pretty sure you can transfer. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can transfer. Like if your hardcore character dies, I'm pretty sure you have a free transfer to one of the other realms, I believe. So I'll have to look if that's... I know you... I'm pretty sure you have a free transfer, so I might be able to level a hardcore character, and if they die, just transfer them as is at that level to one of the other servers, like the PvP server or something. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can do that. I think. I gotta check. But I like, you know me, I like hardcore. I think hardcore is just really fun. I love the look of this character. I love the look of this character when she's on her mount, man. Look at how cool this mount looks, right? Because of the toy Hearthbane Curse that I always toss on. Alright, what, there's nobody here? What the fuck? What the hell? Alright, I'm going back then. There we go. What is this, a druid? Level 8 Torn. I don't think I'm gonna get there before the cap. Oh, wait a minute.
Lovely.
I haven't played this character in a while, so I definitely feel a little bit out of my element playing this character. But not too far out of an element that I wasn't able to own those two noobs. Yes, I'm really... That was a lot of... Oh man, there's so much... Dude, I have so many stuns and loot. It's crazy. Let's check out the new mount they just gave me. I don't even know why I got it. I like... Let's see. I don't even know where it is. Shit. Here, filter. Ground. Sources. I don't know. Whatever. For fresh PvP? What do I think of undead? Yeah, undead rogues are... I like undead rogues. Oh man, we're just 5-capping these guys. Look at this. Oh, is this the Is this the NPC? This is the NPC one. This is the one where, okay. Yeah, this is the one where the enemy team is completely AI. Here, hold on a second. Yeah, see their names? You know, Celerin, the Frenzy, Diviner, Tazton, Elisha, Arcaro, Hosgaz. This is the battleground where the enemy team is full of AI. I haven't seen this random battleground event for a long time. Yeah, the comp stomp. Is that what they call it? Yeah. I was like, once I looked at the map and we had the 5 cap, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, something's different here. This is like the Free Honor battleground. So. Yeah, it's like you just. Here, let's kill some people.
Lovely. Lovely.
What do I get? Oh man, look, I even get Conquest? Look at that 62 Conquest. Are you kidding me? How much Conquest? So, what do I think of Undead Rogue for Fresh? I think Undead Rogue is great. I love Undead Rogues. I think that's a great choice. So, yeah, like if you want to do Undead Rogue, I think that's good. That's cool that we got the comp stomp. We'll just do this because just play around. I think, well, here, let's take a look at my currency. I actually realized that, let's take a look at, where's the maximum? I think I have to go here to look at the, let's see, what is it? Where is it? Oh, we have to go here, rated. Where does it show the maximum? I don't see it. Why am I not seeing currency? Season total. Is there no maximum right now? I'm kind of missing out here. Is the season over? Maybe that's what it is. Maybe the season... Oh, I think that's what it is. Maybe the season's... Is the season over? The PvP season? Maybe that's what's going on. I think maybe the season's over. Anyways, yeah, I think fresh, you know, for fresh PvP server, I think Rogue's always a good good way to go. This is cool. So we can do this just for a couple days because we're basically just I'm just waiting for the fresh servers to be released, and I kind of was like, I wanted to play hardcore, but here's the thing, Reptane, I really want to play Burning Crusade too, because I really didn't spend a lot of time in the original re-release of the Burning Crusade Classic, you know, that came out in 2020 or 2021. I didn't really play it that much, you know, and I don't know why. I think there's probably some other MMO that I was playing. So I would be very interested in, you know, in doing some Burning Crusade. So I think that's probably the best way to go. I think it's just create a character on the PvP realm and create a character on the hardcore realm, and just kind of level them both up a little bit and just kind of see, like, is there one that I like, you know, do I like playing one over the other? What am I having the most fun on, and that kind of thing. So yeah, I screwed up this character. This character actually doesn't have the best gear. She does not have the best weapon. The best weapon are the forged weapons. She also doesn't have all of her gem sockets, I don't believe. So, although to be fair, it's kind of hard to get all the gem sockets. It takes a lot of honor and stuff to get that. A lot of stiff. Yeah, see, I've got the 5 heraldry. We need a lot more. Do I have? Let's see. We've got X here. Shift spacebar is damage taken. Oh, let's take a look. Let's do, for fun, let's do the dragon charge. It's more fun. they're actually going. They're actually going lumber mill this time. I don't think they did last time. Let's kick some booty. Let's do this. Oh, let's run into a stump. How about that?
Lovely.
Man, you know, Reptilian, I would love to basically take World of Warcraft, the retail, and all the different versions, and basically just bastardize it and take all the best things about WoW and put it into one version. Because there's certain things in retail that are really good, and there's just tons of stuff in Classic that are really good. You know, it'd be nice to be able to, you know, kind of pick and choose the best.
Lovely.
I remember my keybind.
Lovely. Lovely.
No, I'm still up in the air because it's just.
Lovely.
I think I have made my decision, actually. Kind of.
Lovely. Lovely.
So what's up, Ruff? So here's the thing, like, I like hardcore a lot. Like, I really wanted to do the hardcore leveling. The only problem I have with the hardcore is I really like the idea of progressing into. Hey, Chase, what's up? No, I don't have a pocket healer. I'm just impossible to kill. This is the what is it called? The comp stomp. So we're actually, this is AI. That seems AI. Like we're actually fighting AI.
Lovely.
Oh, really?
Lovely.
This is my tank though, so this character is incredibly difficult to kill, so...
Lovely. 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 Lovely.
Yeah, this is AI. We basically dominate. I mean, you can't lose to AI, so... They're actually not bad, though. Like, if you had bad gear, like, if you had bad gear and you're fighting these AI, they're actually, believe it or not, they're actually, you know, they're better than you think, you know?
Lovely.
Ooh, Bill! That was, I love it when they teleport, you know, right as you do your, that ability, the shield slam, because it automatically switches me. It takes me to where I need to go. Watch this. Here we go, here we go. Boom! You see me knock him in the air?
Lovely.
What am I fighting you? Is that like some sort of hex? Some sort of pet? Some sort of pet. Here, we'll kill the pet.
Lovely.
The dragon. The dragon. Oh my god, die. There we go. Ooh, 267,000. That's pretty good.
Lovely.
Fear bomb! Fear bomb! Well, AoE. Get this demon hunter, right? Let's get him. AoE, 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 AoE. Big damage, big damage. Oh,
Lovely.
boom. Shield slam. Dodge.
Lovely. Lovely.
Anybody else? Damage done. As a tank, right? Keep in mind I'm a tank, and I was number 3 on damage overall as a tank. 134 million damage. So 134 million damage as a tank, right? So ripoff though regarding the problem was like I wanted to play hardcore fresh because I love hardcore, but the hardcore servers aren't going to progress into the Burning Crusade, and I do like the Burning Crusade quite a bit. So I kind of wanted to play on I was thinking about the PvE, the PvP servers. That way I'd be able to progress all the way through vanilla and then all the way through the Burning Crusade. And then I thought it would be really cool if after the Burning Crusade, if the servers remained really populated, that if they went to the Wrath of the Lich King, I also thought that would be really neat. We'd have a nice 3-year, we could play vanilla, Classic WoW for 3 years straight. I thought this would be kind of cool, right? I mean, I don't think we would, because I think there's plenty of games coming out that'll come out before that time period would end. But if they don't, or if they suck, we would have that option of playing Classic WoW from vanilla to Burning Crusade to the Wrath of the Lich King, which I think would be really fun. But so what I'm thinking that I'm going to do is I'm going to do hardcore and the PvP server. So I think I'm going to create a character on the hardcore servers, right? But I think I'm also going to create a character on the PvP, the fresh PvP server. That way, I've got the best of both worlds. And then I'll just play on both of those. The only thing is it's going to kind of slow me down. Like, it's going to... Obviously, it's going to slow down my leveling if I'm splitting time between two characters, but at least we'll have some rest time on one of them, so that'll help a little bit. Well, here's the interesting part. I want to show you something. Which is just kind of weird. So after they did the update today, right? You said, I also think hardcore will split its stuff way too much between currently existing realms, people already established, and the fresh ones, so there will be a smaller player base. I think that's possible. But check this out. They did some stuff on the servers today. They updated some content. They probably got stuff ready for Classic Fresh. But check this out. The hardcore server tab is gone. Okay, normally it's seasonal, right? Seasonal servers, seasonal discovery, Classic Era, the RP, PvP. And by the way, look, they're all dead. They're all dead. And then look, the hardcore tab, which is normally right here, it's gone. So I can't even play hardcore right now. I'm assuming this is a fuck up on Blizzard's part. I don't think this is you know what I mean? I don't think this is by design, right? But if they don't get that, you know what I mean? What's going on? What do you mean, that one I know about? What do you mean? The hardcore realms are down at the moment due to a bug. Oh, okay, so there's a bug. Okay. But yeah, so that's pretty interesting. I didn't realize. I mean, I figured it was a bug or something. It's on the launcher. Okay. Yeah, well, I don't see it on the launcher. Unless there's more messages on here. Anyways. So, but I think you're kind of right. I mean, I think there are some established. I mean, I was playing on the hardcore server, on Skull Rock, which I got some level 60s there, or at least I have one. I have one I transferred off, which I wish I never would have transferred that character off that server. And there's guilds that are very established there, and I think you're right. Those guilds aren't going to leave, but I don't think the population on Skull Rock is super high. Like, I don't think the population is super high on Skull Rock. I think there's probably a couple thousand people on Skull Rock. So I do believe, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit, and that I don't think that the hardcore realms, because they're only bringing up one new hardcore realm, and also the fact that OnlyFangs, which I'm not a big fan of the OnlyFangs people, because I'm not a big fan of Soda Poppin', and I'm not really a big fan of S-Fan. I think a lot of those people are pretty cringe, to be honest. But the OnlyFangs movement, right? Sorting sweats versus non-sweats in OnlyFangs, like this kind of shit.
I have to clarify, like, what makes someone a sweat? Everyone's gonna have different definitions. have like maybe like people whose main category is World of Warcraft, right?
Like, I mean, what does this guy even do for a living? I mean, I literally think that this guy like has made so much money just from being a streamer that he doesn't do anything. Like, he has no job, you know. But I do think that these guys are OnlyFans is going to be doing the hardcore on the hardcore server. They're gonna be, I think, Horde. So just the fact that these guys are doing this event, which, as you can see, this video has 117,000 views. So a lot of people are aware of this OnlyFans crap, right? And this video,
I didn't have like all these.
I tried to watch this video and it was like the dumbest fucking video. I'm like, this video was so bad. S-Fan explains OnlyFans in his classic WoW origin story. He rambles for like fucking 3 minutes about nothing. Like literally this whole like I tried to watch it and just kind of skip through this whole video, and he starts going through like doing the Asmongold shit, like doing this crap. 2004, 2008, and blah, 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 blah. And it was just like, oh my God. I'll never understand the appeal of people like this. This guy has no personality whatsoever. When you watch S-Fan, he has no personality. He's like your grandfather trying to tell you how to play a game, right? It's like talking to your grandfather giving you advice on how to smoke a cigar. That's about how exciting it is to watch S-Fan. So, and I said, Soda's just an attention whore, is pretty much a big douchebag. I said, that is all you need to know about OnlyFans, because it's true. I think he is a complete douchebag. But yeah, S-Fan is just, I find him incredibly boring. I find Sodapoppin just to be completely annoying. Sodapoppin's that guy in high school. Sodapoppin's that guy in high school that you just wouldn't like, because he would try to be like super popular and super cool and try to pretend like he was big shit, and you'd just be like, he's just a dork, you know? And you think this guy's just an idiot. Yeah, but like this Sodapoppin would be one of those kids that would just be the big mouth. He would just mouth off, like goof off and mouth off, and that's all he is. It's just a big goof, you know. And so it's just a little. It kind of annoys me that people like Savix. I think Savix seems like a fairly decent person. That they kind of group up with these guys and just. But anyway, whatever. I don't like them. You know, I'm not a fan of these people. I think they're just attention whores. I think they're just trying to get attention. You know, and I think a lot of them are pretty much. You know, they've fallen into lifestyles where they're completely like, what's the word? You know, they're completely like lucky in that for whatever reason they got popular and they made a lot of money as a streamer, and now they're living this lifestyle that most people probably wish they could live. You know, like they have no responsibilities whatsoever. All the guy has to do is get up in the morning and fucking, you know, spew shit on a stream. You know what I mean? So they annoy me. I ranked. Oh, let's see. Who are the members?
What are these pictures? God tier, S plus.
So here are the members of OnlyFans, and this, which is kind of sad. So who are the members of OnlyFans? We've got Winky. You know, Winky. I'm familiar with Winky. He's kind of, you know, he loves WoW. He's just a big, you know. I should go back to Turtle WoW. Blind Archangel. I actually had to uninstall Turtle WoW off my computer just recently because I've got my new computer and I'm setting it up. I still haven't switched over to my new computer, which is kind of pathetic, but probably do that this weekend. I didn't want to deal with having to move all of my add-ons and everything to the new computer just for the fresh shit like today. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll do it Saturday. Oh yeah, okay. So just looking at these pictures, who am I familiar with? Sarth, this guy is a liar, and he lies about his sub numbers. So he's a liar about how many subs he has. This guy, Savix, he seems like a pretty decent guy. Don't know this person. Don't know. Miskiv, douchebag. Don't know. This Miskiv, I can't stand this guy. Don't know. Apricot, she's cool. Apricot's actually a really nice person. That's a nice person. Peyo's really just a big dork, but I don't have anything against him. I think he seems like in real life he'd probably be a nice person. Don't know. Shobek is like really kind of weird, and he's got a pretty big following in the vanilla community. He's okay. He like does a lot of RP. He really gets into the RP side of WoW. But he's okay. I mean, I think in real life he'd probably be a pretty decent person. So I'm not going to say anything bad about him. This guy, don't know. Don't know, don't know, don't know, don't know, don't know. Tactics is a douchebag. Don't know. Tommy, that's Tommy. I know Tommy. I don't know Tommy personally. He's the one. Tactics and Tommy are two of the people that worked on creating the add-on, the Rested XP add-on, right? So they tried to make money off of everybody by selling their Rested XP add-on, which I'm not a big fan of, which is against terms of service, by the way. But yeah, Tactics I don't like. Tommy, don't know enough to say anything bad about him. Zaryu, I think he's like a one-shot wonder. He knows how to play mage, but that's about it. So he's good at one class, not very good at anything else. And I'm not really a big fan of him. I think he seems like he's okay, but he's one of those fake personas. You know, a lot of streamers just have a fake persona, which is what I don't like. They're fake. Like what they portray to you on their streams isn't their real personality. You know, a lot of them. You know, that's what I find Zaryu. Zaryu, I don't like him because he does that shit where he like acts like everything's like way over the top. Like, let me give you an example. Like, so Zaryu, like, he's one of the, you know, I hate people that do the stream, that do like the videos on YouTube, and they're all like clickbait titles. Like, this is the greatest thing ever. Oh my God. And actually, I can give you one guy who I watch because his content's pretty good, but his titles are always like, so this guy's titles would be an example of, you know, what I'm talking about. Like, every title is going to be like way over the top. It's a wrap. It's over. Get in now. Holy fuck. This is big. Rock bottom. You know, Bitcoin is falling. Great news. Uphold is awesome. You have 24 hours. Fucking huge. You know, this kind of clickbait shit. I'm not a big fan of this crap. Right? So if you go to Zaryu, I don't know how to spell his fucking name. Like, his shit's kind of the same way, right? Like, I hate it when I see these YouTube videos and it's always their faces, always in the same fucking expression. Oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. Oh, the pain, this is terrible. You know, I hate this shit, right? It's stupid. And then if you look at, let's see, here, this one. So they announced that in Classic Fresh, we're going to have instant mail between characters on the same account, and the removal of the buff debuff limit, and we're going to have dual specs. I mean, all this stuff I think is good. I think instant mail is fantastic. I think having a dual spec is great. I think that's really nice because, you know, having to like it's sometimes in vanilla WoW, it's hard to find tanks. So if you have somebody who's a warrior who can play the tank role and also can be DPS, you know, they can switch over and play tank, but it's really difficult in vanilla to do that all the time because it's so expensive to respec. So you literally like will have people, you'll have tanks that'll be like, okay, I'll respec and tank for you on your dungeon, but you got to pay me the goals for the respec, and that's a pretty common thing, right? So putting dual specs in, I think, is a good thing, but just this kind of fake reactions just drives me nuts, right? Watch this. And look at his face, right? I hate this fucking phony shit.
Wait, whoa, what? Removal? Wait, what's this? Updated November 18th. After working through a great deal of player feedback, we decided to provide additional changes that'll be part of the Anniversary Realms. Instant mail between characters on the same account. The removal... Wait, dual spec? Wait, whoa, what? 20th Anniversary Realms, updated 2 minutes ago. What is this? Dual spec?! No way! Wait, that's awesome! I'm not...
Like that kind of shit. This kind of overreacting. Oh my God, dual spec, no fucking way. You know, I mean, this kind of shit. And it's all like, it's just for the people who watch their streams. Because let's face it, a lot of people that watch streamers are just little kids. Like, you'll have somebody like this guy who's probably like, I don't know, in real life, maybe he's 25 years old, right? A lot of people that come to his channels and watch his streams are probably like, a lot of them probably 15 to 20, maybe even 12 to 20. You know, like if you like, what isn't it like the age group of people that watched PewDiePie, right? How do you spell PewDiePie? You know, here, what is it? Streamer stats. What's that website? No, what is it? Social Blade. I don't know if it shows it on here. Let's see. Ooh, ugh. I don't know if it shows it on here. But when you look at like the average age of the people, right? Detailed statistics. This just shows like followers, user summary, future projections. I don't know if I would be able to see. I probably can't. But you know, when you look at like the actual average age of people that watch some of the streamers, you know, like PewDiePie has like how many people does he have? He's got 110 million subscribers on YouTube, which is just it's hard to even fathom to have that many subscribers, right? But the average age of the people who subscribe to his content is like, 14 or something. It's really low. And so to like play up to those people, they do these fake personas and everything's like over the top. And it's like you're acting because think about it. If I talked the way I talk to you guys, the way I talk to my wife or something, it's not going to be very appealing to a 12-year-old. And there's a lot more people in the 12 to 20 range that play video games than in like maybe the 20 to 50 range or something. So, but that's just the way what it is. I mean, I'm 54 years old. You're not going to see me going, "Oh my God, dual spec, no way!" I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to act like a douchebag just to try to get more people to click like on my video. I'm going to act just like myself. I mean, that's just the way I am. But so that's why a lot of these streamers, I don't like the phony shit. Like Soda Poppin', he's phony. He's a phony fuck, right? Zaryu, he's phony. He's doing shit just for the subs. You know who people I do like? So let's not be so negative. Let's talk about people that I do like, because there's a lot of people that I do like. I like, let's see, let's go to World of Warcraft. There are certain people in the gaming community for World of Warcraft that I do like. And let's see if we go to World of Warcraft and we go to live and let's see. I can't remember the guy's name. It's this go Zico. I like Zico. This guy who's like an announcer for the Arena World Championships. This is like somebody who I like because he's just authentic. He doesn't fake shit. He's just who he is. Actually, I like Venruki a little bit. He's a little phony, but Venruki's okay. I think Supatuz is okay, but he's a little bit over the top as far as but he's kind of like a big kid, so he's okay. Supa's okay. Like you watch his videos, they're usually pretty good. They're usually like just him having fun.
Trying hard, but this.
Although he likes to rap while he plays sometimes, which is kind of lame, kind of annoying. But who do I really like? What's a streamer there? One of my favorite streamers. Let's see, Throne and Liberty. Kanan, he's one of my favorite guys. Who else? There aren't a lot. I mean, MMO Byte, I've interviewed him. I like MMO Byte. He's a nice guy. He's just these are people that are just real people that are just like, and this guy here, he seems like a pretty cool guy. I've watched.
You're gonna play Throne and
Critical. He like
Liberty. Why do people keep asking that? Is this game popular?
Like he seems just genuine. Like he doesn't try to put up like a persona, which that's what I respect. People that are just that are themselves. Same thing with with Mark here. Mark is he's just himself. He's not trying to. Although he's got all the clickbait stuff, but if you watch him when he's doing streaming live and stuff, he doesn't portray like a persona. He just portrays himself. But what's the other guy? It's this guy right here.
And we're live.
Right here, Stoops. Stoops is one of my favorite guys. Like Stoops. One of the reasons I like Stoops though is he looks like my brother, who's God rest his soul. He's not with us anymore, but he looks so much like my brother, like my older brother. But Stoops is really cool. If you guys have ever watched Stoops content, I really like Stoops. He's really cool because he's just straight up genuine, like super genuine, super honest. Like he's not trying to fool you. He's not trying to lie to you about anything. So definitely a streamer that I would highly recommend. Where's his other channel? Stoops Highlights.
What's up, you guys?
Yeah.
Welcome to my complete, thorough, and extremely informative Lost Ark guide. This is something similar you see in other games like Maple Story. It's a burning event, or
I like Stoops is one of those people that the people that I like that are streamers are the people that you can tell they really love the game they're playing. They're not doing it for the views. They're not trying to make a ton of money off you. Sure, it's like a benefit of being a streamer, of hopefully getting people to watch your content that you make money. I mean, obviously, I'm not trying to make a shit ton of money because look at me. I've got hardly any subscribers. But, I mean, I've done 3,200 videos. And yet I've only got 2,000, almost 3,000 subscribers. So, obviously, I'm not trying to make money. If I was trying to make money, I would probably, you know, edit my videos and put my face on there, but I still wouldn't be phony. You know, I would, you know, I wouldn't act like an idiot. Um, if I really wanted to make money, I would have to do that. You know, you would, and I think that's why a lot of people do act like douchebags, because they know that's how they can, you know, they can make money. You know, as a streamer, I mean, you can either do something like Shroud and just be really, really good. Like if you're like really good at something, then you don't have to do anything else. You could just play something and be really good at it. You know what I mean? Like if you're Shroud or somebody who's just amazingly good at a game, you just play the game and people are going to sub and pay attention to what you're doing because you're good. Like Avenger 1. Avenger 1's a perfect example of that, right? So if you go to Star Citizen and you look at Avenger 1, this guy, you know,
It's amazing.
he's kind of a douchebag. I mean, he's kind. I don't want to say he's a douchebag. He's very arrogant. This guy's very arrogant, and he comes across that way because he is arrogant, but he knows what he's doing. Like he's really good at Star Citizen. He's really good at being a pilot. He understands all the mathematics of piloting. He understands all the kind of how flying a ship works. You know what I mean? And like he understands the technical jargon of. I think he actually was a pilot in real life, so he understands like how to fly a plane in a way that's beneficial. You know, and it actually does translate into Star Citizen because Star Citizen's physics engine is actually pretty good. So you know, so you can learn a lot by watching Avenger 1, but he's kind of, you know, and I think it's pretty apparent because his YouTube channel's been around a long time, but he's only got like 38,000 subscribers. I think if he was put out a personality of being like super, super friendly and being like incredibly helpful to people, and being more engaging with his audience when he live streams, he'd have way more subscribers. Because if you watch him live stream, he doesn't really engage with the people that are watching the stream. Really, he just plays the game and he's talking to the people in the game that he's playing with. He pretty much ignores the chat. Like, you know what I mean? He pretty much ignores, you know, the people that are in here. Like, you're not going to see him like really engaging with anybody in the chat. So, anyways, just I know it's a total side. I'm on a big tangent, but my point, the reason I got on this big tangent was that the OnlyFans group of people that do this guild called OnlyFans, they're going to be on the hardcore servers. And as much as I dislike them because I think they're a bunch of prima donna, like self-attention, you know, self-gratifying kind of. I don't know what else to say. I just don't like them, to be honest. Don't like them. But I do think they bring in a lot of these stupid young kiddie audience. So there's going to be a lot of people playing Horde probably on the hardcore server. And I do think that the hardcore server is going to be a lot more crowded than you think, Ripoff. I think it's going to be extremely crowded, way more crowded than the current hardcore servers that exist. In fact, I think it's going to be slam packed with people. Now, how long will it stay that way? I don't know. I think it could lose a lot of people over time. The thing with hardcore is hardcore's been around a long time. Like the unofficial hardcore has been around a long time. So there's plenty of people who have done hardcore, like with the community-based add-on. There's people that have done hardcore through the official servers that came out a few years ago. So I feel like there's definitely a segment of players that understand what hardcore is all about, but there's still a lot of people who've never really played hardcore. And so you're going to get a lot of people, since it's fresh servers, they're going to be like, oh, freshy fresh. We've got PvE, we've got PvP, we've got hardcore. And they're going to be like, oh man, I've never played hardcore. I'm going to try playing hardcore on these hardcore fresh servers. And they're going to get in there and they're going to get to like level 35. And they're going, this is awesome. This is so much fun. This is so scary. And then all of a sudden they're going to die. And they're going to be like slamming their keyboards and, oh my God, mother effing this and fuck that. And they're just going to, and then they're going to roll another character and then get to 35 and they're going to die again. They're going to be like, I hate my life. I'm going to kill myself. And then they're going to quit and they're going to do something else. So you're going to see a lot of people that'll come into hardcore that have never really done it before, and they might play it for like a month or two, and then after a couple deaths, like they leave. And it was funny because when I played on Skull Rock, I saw it all the time. Like I leveled up my melee hunter to 60. I never died. My melee hunter's still there. I've got about 16 or 17 days of playtime on that character, and I did tons and tons of 5-mans, and I saw 60s in my guild die left and right, and most of them when they died at 60, they didn't come back. They quit. They couldn't handle it. They just couldn't handle it. And then there were some that did not quit, and they leveled back up. And there was one guy who died at 60, leveled back up in like 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks to 60 again, and then died like 2 days later. He quit after that. He quit, but it was his fault. I mean, he was stupid in how he died. It was, and I've actually got that on stream because I was in the group with one when he died. So it was, he's a mage. He was playing a mage, and he was being stupid. We were in Skolomots, and he was like jumping around, like his pants were on fire, and he was like, he was like Nova, like Frost Nova or whatever that Nova is, Arcane Nova. He was like Arcane Nova eating like just like packs of undead, and of course he aggroed them. They just one shot him. Yeah. Yeah, oh yeah. Oh, dude, rip off. He was hardcore leveling. I mean, this guy was on I mean, he was basically probably putting in, I'd say he was putting in easily like 12, 13 hours a day, at least every day, just grinding it out, you know? And so everybody was super impressed by how fast he leveled. And then he got to 60, and like 2 days later, he was dead. Hey, what's up, boss? The guild leader was pretty pissed off at him. He's like, dude, you got, because the guild leader kept telling him to stop doing what he was doing, because we would pull big groups of mobs in like UBRS or Skullnamonts, and we'd be killing him, and he would jump into the mobs and start doing arcane explosion. He would just arcane explosion the groups, and he'd be jumping through them, and the guild leader's like, dude, you can't do that. He's like, if because you might pull aggro, and he's like, these mobs hit really hard. You may not think they do, but they do, and that's, you know. I don't know if I have it. Let's see, hardcore. I mean, I'd be hard pressed to probably find it. Hardcore Shady Moon. But I know I was streaming, I think, when it happened. So, but yeah, I don't know, man. Look at this 7-hour stream. Damn.
Back here. Okay, fine. Don't come back.
Wow, this was my hardcore character when I was only level. When I was like level 40 something, because I can see this is Bob's sake. I was 43 probably. This is when I was doing that quest. I'm doing the this is the hunter quest, which is a real pain in the ass, by the way.
So here, this guild, right? Hills for you, cutie.
Yeah, so when was this video? So I wasn't even 60 yet. This video was a year ago, but it was, I really hate how YouTube doesn't show, isn't more specific. It'll say like a year ago, but it could be like 16 months ago, or, you know, I mean, what is it? If it's like if it's like 19 months ago, would they say 2 years ago? Like, you know, are they rounding up? You know, I hate how they're not more specific. Oh, here it does. Stream September 30th, 2023. So what, that's like a year and 3 months or something? Yeah. And this character's still alive, Vols. Still alive. Still kicking. Oh, I have such a nice voice. What? Your favorite Jag. Why thank you. Why thank you. What is this? Darkest Dungeon from Beyond? This is an old video I did 7 years ago.
It's like a cleric. She died. Just recently. She was just died in the mission I was just in. And then here's a
I sound younger, don't I?
Another level was 0, Vest Egg ones from Wheel of Time, Reigns from Wheel of Time. And so I get attached to these characters, and so this one actually was interesting. She died.
Yeah, great game though. The Darkest Dungeon, great game. You always die. It's so hard not to have your characters die in the Darkest Dungeon. Should have called him Set. Yeah, the sequel was bad. I agree. I played the sequel a bit, and it wasn't very good. Yeah. Should have called the cat Set. Yeah, that's right. I remember you wanted me to call my cat Set. So the hardcore servers are down currently, I guess. Let's do. You know, the Fresh comes out on Thursday, so. You know, Fresh comes out Thursday, so. I don't really know. I mean, maybe I'll set up my new computer so that we can play on my new computer for Fresh. But I've got to transfer. Yeah, I got to set up my add-ons, and I mean, I guess I can just copy the folders over, you know. But we could do that. Let's do since we've got the player versus player, the comp stomp, which is just versus the AI. We can fucking do that while we're talking. Hey, XPusin, what's up? Yeah, I don't want to play Turtle WoW because they got the new launcher, but have they fixed the problem? The reason I don't play Turtle WoW is the server, the client, is just not very. It's very. They have lag spikes. It's clunky. It's on the old vanilla client. If they would put Turtle WoW on like a more modern client, you know, I would probably be a lot more interested in playing it. And also, the other reason I don't want to play Turtle WoW is I am like 100% sure that Blizzard is currently working on Classic Plus, right? Blizzard is currently working on Classic Plus, so I don't really want to play another version of Classic Plus, because Turtle WoW really is Classic Plus, right? I don't really want to play another version of Classic Plus right now. And, you know, private servers are okay, but they're still, in the end, they're still private servers. You know, I would prefer to play on a official server more than a private server, just because I think it's, you know, if Blizzard comes out with an official Classic Plus server, it'll be big, it'll be huge, and I would rather play that than Turtle WoW. Even if, I mean, Turtle WoW is cool, and I played a lot of Turtle WoW. I played Turtle WoW for years, you know, on and off for years. I played Turtle WoW, you know, a long time ago. I was one of the first people, not one of the first people, but you know, I was in Turtle WoW at the very beginning, so I'm very familiar with Turtle WoW. But yeah, but the client just was kind of, you know, there were lag spikes all the time. It just wasn't a smooth client, you know. And after playing the 1.14 classic client for so long, it's very difficult to go back to that client. It just, you know. And I did uninstall Turtle WoW, which kind of sucks because I had it all my add-ons and everything. Actually, oh dude, I screwed up. Actually, that kind of pisses me off a little bit because I spent a lot of time setting up specific add-ons for Turtle WoW. Oh god, I hope I didn't delete. Oh shit, fuck me. Oh no, I probably didn't. I might have deleted a few add-ons that might be hard to replace. Oh well. Oof, I probably shouldn't have deleted the folders. I probably shouldn't have deleted the folders, but I did delete the folders. Son of a biscuit. Oh, because I've really cleaned off these hard drives, like big time. Oh well, we're not going to be playing Turtle WoW anytime soon, because I deleted all my files. And it'd be very difficult for me to get all the add-ons and everything set up the way I had before. But I mean, guys, if you guys have been paying attention, there's a lot of new games coming. Okay, we've got some pretty cool MMOs on the way. So I'm just going to be playing Classic WoW for the next year or two probably. But we've got some pretty good MMOs that are in the works. I mean, we got stuff like Ion 2, which I'm very interested in. We've got the other one, the Horizon Zero Dawn, which I'm super interested in that because I love Horizon Zero Dawn. I love the lore of the Horizon Zero Dawn game itself. It's really cool. So yeah, there's tons of stuff coming. And now whether or not it's going to be good or not, I don't know. But there's a lot of games that are coming in the next 2 or 3 years. So if I just plan on playing like classic, the classic fresh servers that progress into TBC, and if those progress into Wrath of Lich King, you're talking that's 3 years. I guarantee you. Yeah, Crimson Desert's coming too. I guarantee you that we're gonna have something worth playing by then. Damage done. Number 2. Oh, I'm not number 1 on damage. What? You've got Ion 2, which I think has a chance to be pretty good. It might not be great, but it'll still be good because I love the original Ion game. So I have a big, I have fond memories. I like Ion. It's more grindy, and I like grindy MMOs. Oh, I see you later. I see you later, mister. Okay, bye-bye. Bye-bye. Boom. Boom. Blind. You are all blind. The bubble. Damage number one, 79 million damage. Look at 79 million damage. The next closest person to me is 39 million damage. Oh, smoking. Smoking, baby. Come on, let's bring the deeps. Oh, see you later. I see you later. I see you later. Uh-oh, oh, big damage, big damage. Okay, you're dead. There's nobody to kill. There's nobody to kill. I don't like this. Bring you the pain. Come on, here we go. Here we go. Oh, you're blind. Here comes big damage. Big damage. Oh, big damage. A big damage. $149 million damage. I was bringing the deeps. Okay, so let's take a look, right? We need Rift 2. Yeah, Rift 2 would be cool, right? So, okay, so I want to show you guys something, right? Let's take a look at it. All right. So, all right, hold on a second. I did, Laser. I actually got 2 promotional mounts. I don't remember what they were called. They were this one. Check it out here, and I'll show you. They were pretty cool too. I'm not gonna lie. One of them was pretty cool. It was this saber. I actually put it on my bar here. It's this one. So that's pretty cool. And then then there was another one. I don't remember what it was. I don't even think my graphics are turned up all the way. So let's see graphics. Where's texture resolution? Yeah, it's only unfair here. Let me turn it up to high. I'm sure the mount will look nicer. There you go. It's a pretty cool mount. But is it as cool as this one? All right. Oh, and the hunter can now dress like a mage. Oh, they got the trade shop. Oh, they got a new set in the trade shop. The Magic Rooster. So I wanted to, let's go here. First off, I wanted to tell you that all the vanilla all the classic servers currently are dead. Like I went here and I said, okay, what's the biggest like PvP RP US, right? We got Grobulus should be in here. Grobulus says it's got 3,899 people. I logged into Grobulus and there was nobody there. I mean, it was dead. I mean, all of the, look at this. I mean, why are these servers even around anymore? They're just dead. Like all the classic realms right now are dead. I don't know if it's because they were already dead or if it's because people just aren't playing them because they're waiting for classic fresh. But I wanted to show you something. So if we go to my history. Okay. This one and this one.
Farther out into the dangerous desert.
So we got the clickbait title. 8 huge MMOs on the way. One of these will likely overtake WoW. Now, I'm a fan of Lucky Ghost. I think Lucky Ghost does good content. So when he puts out a video that says, you know, one of these might overtake WoW, I actually, on a scale of 1 to 10, as far as believability, yeah, David's Light Turbo, is it dead too? Yeah, all the servers are dead. Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'll give him a believability rating of 3, which is much higher than I would give most people. But let's check it out. What are the 8 MMOs on the way that could be good?
It's that time of the year where I dive into all the new updates for the
This is Throne of Liberty.
Most exciting upcoming MMOs. We've got some massive new MMOs to add to the list this time, and we've got some big updates to the ones that were already on it. So this should be an exciting video. Let's dive in. First up, we've got EverQuest 3, but before we begin, there's some MMOs.
So EverQuest 3 is they're working on EverQuest 3, and I mean I never played EverQuest 1 that much. Like I wasn't one of the original people that played EverQuest 1. I did play EverQuest 2, and I must say that EverQuest 2 was a pretty good game. There was a lot of glitches in the game, and the combat system was a little glitchy, and the kind of the smoothness of the character combat wasn't. Is it development hell? It wasn't the best, but you know. And then of course EverQuest Next, like yeah, I mean, I was super excited for EverQuest Next. I played EverQuest Next Landmark a lot. I actually liked Landmark quite a bit. EverQuest 3 is in development hell. I hadn't heard that ripoff. But I mean, I'm just saying if EverQuest 3 ever did come out, I would certainly be interested in checking it out because they have a pretty good track record of making, you know, they've got, what I like about EverQuest is there's a lot of kind of diversity in the races. There's a lot of diversity in the world, and there's a lot of diversity in the classes. So it's an interesting game. I don't think it's the best MMO, but if they came out with EverQuest 3, I certainly would be interested in playing it for sure.
MMOs on this list that don't have any footage to show yet because they're in their very early stages. So when that happens, I'll try to show them.
He says they're in their very early stages, so I'm surprised that you say they're in development hell.
Most relevant MMO footage possible, but I won't always have footage to show of that MMO. With that out of the way, if EverQuest 3 is anything like the previous entries,
and what we're seeing here is EverQuest. This was footage from EverQuest Next.
It's going to be available on PC,
which never released, by the way,
and console. EverQuest was announced at PAX East.
And if you want to see something that's kind of funny, let's see. I might have it on my channel. "10 years ago." And I was super excited. When I watched this, I was stoked.
And to be honest, that's enough, but that's not all. I mean, we're really happy where that game is. That's an MMO that every single one of us wants to play. We're really excited about it. We're very, we're jazzed to bring it to you. But there's something else that came along the way.
10 years ago.
Because when we started building all of this, well, before I get to that, let me show you one last scene of carnage. Because carnage is always fun. Sometimes the monsters can get big. Let's see what that Karen's running away from. That's the Iron Golem.
10 years ago, man. Yeah, Sony Online Entertainment. I agree, Vols. I agree. I wasn't a fan of that either. Did I ever tell you guys my EverQuest story? Right? Man, let's see. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Let me go to my. I have to go to my Google Drive, right? Let's see if I can find it. I gotta go to my drive. My Google Drive. Here it is. I don't know if I want to read you guys this. So, what EverQuest did was, in leading up to EverQuest Next, they actually had an event, right? I know, it's funny, laser. They had an event where they called, like, they basically said that they wanted you to submit a story. Like, tell us your EverQuest story. Tell us your EverQuest story. And there was like a little event that they did, and you could submit. You could send them an email. There was like a certain email address, and you would send like you would tell them your story. And what they were looking for was people to people who played the original EverQuest. They were looking for you to kind of tell them a story about the game that so maybe you met somebody in the game or some maybe some sort of event you did in the game or some monster or whatever. Just anything about the game that was a cool story. You could submit that to them, and I guess they were going to. I don't know if they were giving out prizes or what they were doing with it. I don't really remember. But I never played EverQuest, the original EverQuest, but I still submitted my EverQuest story. Do you guys want to hear my EverQuest story that I submitted to Sony Online Entertainment that I actually got a response from Sony Online Entertainment for? Let me know in the chat if you want to hear my EverQuest story, because it was pretty funny.
We'll just hope Kishore was.
And I still have it. I still have it. Here it is. My EverQuest story. This is what I submitted to Sony Online Entertainment. Dear EQ family, right? My EverQuest story is a bit different than what you would be expecting. I didn't play EverQuest or EverQuest 2. However, watching the live stream, I really wanted to give some feedback on this topic. I didn't want to be left out of the cold, so to speak. So to this point, I want to talk about how I got here, gearing up for the alpha for EverQuest Next Landmark and what I'm looking to get out of EverQuest Next Landmark. A bit about me, right? And all this is true. Everything in here is true. A bit about me. My family is very art inclined. My mother was a graphic designer. My sister runs her own company, but she used to be a graphic designer, now paints full time. My brother was a dropout from the Art Institute of Chicago and was to this day one of the best artists I've ever seen in real life. My grandmother was a painter. My other brother's a photographer. My ex-wife, lots of love, is a graduate from the Art Institute of Chicago. I'm an avid guitar player. I write and play music very frequently, so art seems to be in my blood. However, I'm a software designer who currently works and at the time I did work for a tax software company. I'm a software designer who currently works for a tax software company in Florida. I have a degree in computer science, and coming out of high school in 1988, I always dreamed of getting into the field of computer animation, digital content creation. However, at that time, not many programs existed for this fairly new field. So I got my degree in computer science, and here I am. During the past 26 years, wow, time flies, I spent a lot of time when I was not in the office learning tools like 3D Studio Max, Strata 3D Pro, Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, Blender, Wing 3D, Nano, and other similar programs. I even talked the president of my company that I worked at in Chicago back in 1998 to allow me to take a class at the Art Institute of Chicago, Intro to 2D, 3D Computer Animation. In fact, I was the first person to ever get funding for a class at that organization, meaning that I was the first person at my company to ever get I was the first person my company ever paid to actually take a class. And keep in mind, I was a computer programmer, and I actually convinced the president of my company to pay for me to take a class on Intro to 2D, 3D Computer Animation for our Institute of Chicago. So I'm pretty persuasive. Upon moving to Florida, I researched attending Ringling School of Art and Design many times. I visited the campus for the portfolio event a few times, befriending an instructor there who also came from my programming background. Due to my child support and Ringling's lack of flexible program options, no weekend classes, no part-time classes, I reluctantly decided it was not an option at this time, so I decided 3D content creation would have to remain a hobby for now. Gaming history. So in college, the first game that really got my attention was MechWarrior. It was about 1.38 meg in size and ran on a floppy disk. Again, it piqued my interest in the development of games and how the programmers created the graphics and animations we were seeing in these games. After graduating college and moving to Chicago, I worked in the field of programming. And I played, to this day, my favorite game of all time, which it still is, by the way, Unreal Tournament 1999. What was so great about UT99 was the player-created content, as well as the excellent TCP/IP coding, because it had great network coding. The Unreal level editor was a fantastic, amazing, dare I say, Unreal tool. I created many levels and found this tool to be very intuitive and easy to use. So, in viewing the EverQuest Next Landmark live stream and the developer diary vids, I'm constantly reminded of the Unreal editor, how easy and fun it was to use, how the community of players made UT99 a better game by creating content. Next, I played Lineage 2, my first MMO. That was a whole new thing for me, and quite literally mind-blowing. I really enjoyed the aspects of MMOs, exploring the very large world that Lineage 2 had, and crafting with materials that I had gathered. After Lineage 2 came a bevy of games, WoW, Ion, Terra, and so many more. Keep in mind, I wrote this like 10 years ago. And I finally just got jaded by it all and disappointed with obvious attempts by companies to just cash in on the trendy market, especially after WoW's success. The reason I liked those games was the adventure aspect, finding new things in the world, exploring and creating something from what I found. In the back of my mind was always my creative need for an outlet. So here I was, years of wanting to show people I had the skills and the ability, but not really getting the chance to do so. Guitar playing and some creation in games like Unreal Tournament filled some of my needs, but there's always that vacant hole in me. Today, when I watched the EverQuest Next reveal, I was not expecting what happened. I was just looking for a game that had something more to offer. I really wanted an MMO with more intelligent AI and a more dynamic combat system that gave players something in the realm of Unreal Tournament 99 in terms of movement. To me, that was an aspect that had been seriously lacking in MMOs, and still is today, by the way. Then Dave Georgeson, this guy right here, dropped a bomb right onto my keyboard as I watched the reveal. EverQuest Next Landmark. Tools to build anything I want, as long as customer service allows it. Years of wanting to be able to create in 3D worlds in a way that was not only gratifying to myself, but enabled me to show off the skills I always knew that I had. Here was my creative outlet. Here was something I had been longing for. Here was my chance to be more than just a software designer, a 3D hobbyist, an open mic night guitar player. Here was my time to shine. So you can only imagine, from my background, the excitement and energy that I have towards EverQuest Next Landmark. I will be a trailblazer. I will be a content creator. I will be an explorer. I will be a player studio MVP. I will eat, sleep, and dream EverQuest Next Landmark. As a software designer, I bring major software development experience with me into the alpha. As a game enthusiast and artist, I bring an eye to detail on all the ideas and experiences I've had in this genre for the past 15 plus years. My EverQuest story is just beginning. That is what I said to Sony, and every word of that is true. Every word of this is 100% true. So you can imagine how disappointed I was when the whole EverQuest Next was canceled, right? They just canceled it because they didn't think it was fun.
Hiding in the basement. So anyway, like I said, we're really excited about that game. But as we built it, we had to build all kinds of special tools that allowed us to make something special. And by the way, that's Furiona in the game.
So they did email me back. Exfusion, I got an email back from Sony Online Entertainment, and they invited me to come out to California to attend their EverQuest Next, some sort of EverQuest Next event, which I declined, mostly because I was broke at the time, had no money, and I couldn't afford to fly out to California. And they weren't going to pay for me to fly out there, but they wanted me to fly out there and come to one of their events and actually meet some people. I made it with some excuse, which I think was real at the time. I think I was doing some coding and had some websites I had to push out that Saturday. So I actually had website development I was working on that weekend. That was the same weekend that they were doing their event. But they did send me an email directly and invite me to come out there.
As we started to build something special, we needed to assemble tools that none of us had ever used before because they had never existed before. If you're going to build an entire MMO out of voxels, you have to make some pretty cool tools.
Hear what he said. If you're going to create an entire MMO out of voxels, we have to make some pretty cool tools. Well, what did they use, right? What were they using? They were using Voxel Farm, right? This is what EverQuest paid for. The EverQuest engine was actually using Voxel Farm, which was made by Miguel Capuero. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Let's just see if I can show you like an early example of Miguel kind of showing Voxel Farm. In this rendering test, Miguel was showing how the Voxel Farm engine could render a very large open world, right? And you can see it is a rather large world, actually. And then there's lots of different stuff that Miguel shows on the early generations of Voxel Farm, and I think we get some physics in here. Let's see if I can find the physics. So Voxel Farm was basically allowed you to have destructible content, you know. I wonder if he's got anything on terrain streaming, procedural world. And this is back 12 years ago. This is back when like procedural generation was still pretty new in in video games. We weren't doing a lot of like procedural generation. I wonder, there should be one in here. Like here, he's just showing how, these objects are created out of voxels. And of course, he's in the voxel editor, so he can easily but he's showing you like how the physics is there. Like if you just cut a hole through these objects, they're going to fall to the ground, and so just kind of showing some of the physics that's in the game. It's in the engine, yeah. But EverQuest bought this engine. This is what they were built. This is what EverQuest Next Landmark actually used. So if you go to my YouTube channel and you look at Landmark, you'll actually see. Here's a video of me actually playing EverQuest Next Landmark. This is from 10 years ago. So here you get to see like the tools. The tools are really cool. Like EverQuest Next Landmark. Why was the game? The game was canceled. The game was canceled because they said they didn't feel like the game was fun. Hey Igor, what's up? So the hardcore servers, there's some sort of glitch, I guess. Someone said that there was a message on the launcher saying that there's like a bug right now or something that was affecting the stability of the hardcore realms. So they're working on fixing it, I guess. That's all I know. But the tools for the Voxel Farm engine were pretty cool. So you can see here, what was cool about EverQuest, no problem. What was cool about EverQuest Next is it was basically an editor. It was basically you going into you're in the game engine, but you could actually build stuff. It was super cool. Like, I'm not going to lie, EverQuest Next Landmark was super cool. Super fun. And I have not seen anything that's come out since that has, like, I would say that, like, if you guys ever played Fortnite, Fortnite has some pretty cool building tools, right? But they're very basic. EverQuest tools were a lot more advanced. EverQuest Next Landmark, they were a lot more advanced, but there was certainly there was a lot more room for improvement in the tools. And I would really be excited to see an MMO come out that really would give us the ability to do some of the things that we could do in like EverQuest Next Landmark. And I think that there's other games that have come out that have pretty good building. There was that one game that was really big on Steam. You guys probably remember it. I think did I install Steam too? No, I haven't uninstalled Steam yet. Let's see. Do you guys remember that game? What is it? I'm not going to be able to remember the name. I have too many games installed. It should be under one of my favorite games. Here it is, Valheim. So Valheim had pretty cool building tools, I think. They were pretty decent, like building in Valheim. Close down this. And we don't need Steam open either. But back to EverQuest Next Landmark. So this is the building tools in EverQuest Next Landmark. So check this out. You can actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a sphere, right? So I was basically, this little kind of targeting reticule is showing me like the size of the sphere. So I create a sphere. Well, I guess I haven't created. Now I create a sphere. Now what I'm going to do is I'm trying to now I'm dragging out, and it also tells you how many voxels it is. Remember, the whole world, all the terrain, everything you see is created with just voxels, which are just units of, I guess, I don't know, they're constructive units, Think of them as like pixels almost, And now I'm using a square and getting it to kind of the size I want. And I'm basically going to cut a piece out of the sphere. I'm using this as a way to cut. It's almost like a like in Blender or in like in 3D programs, we would call this a stencil. I'm almost using this as like a stencil, in a way, sort of, kind of, not really. More of like a Boolean subtraction. This would be more like a Boolean subtraction. So, I was able to basically copy where the sphere intersected with the plane, and where it intersected, I was pulling that piece out, and that's how I actually created a disk. And then, if you look at the title of this video, it's called "Copy Paste Sphere to Make Column," because there was no tool in EverQuest Next to build a column, right? So you had to figure out, this is what you had to do in EverQuest Next. You had to take the tools you had and try to figure out how can I use these tools to do things, you know, and of course, if you want to build castles or something in an MMO, you're going to need columns, right? So I use this to pull out a slice, and then I just copy paste it on top of each other, and presto changeo, I've got a column. Right? There you go. I created a column by first creating a sphere. So I've got a few. I don't have a lot of EverQuest Next videos on my YouTube channel, but let's see, EverQuest Next. Igor, thanks for the sub, man. Appreciate it. I don't have a lot. We had that one. We had creating a cylinder via smoothing, which was not as good a way as using the copy paste method. Oh, here's the trailer for EverQuest Next Hour, which I love the music. Check this out. This is awesome. Great music and great quote. I mean, the hype that this generated for me when I first saw this was pretty big. So long ago. I mean, it looks like the graphics and stuff look like crap now, but like, 10, 12 years ago, it looked good.
So we did that, and we started putting them together, and one of the things that came up that was really cool was, well, all the devs started spending all their weekends and their nights and stuff like that one-upping each other, trying to build something that was really cool, because the tools were that good. And it didn't take us long before we realized that what we really wanted to do was give you guys the same tools that we had so that you could help us build EverQuest Next.
So what they came up with was they came up with the Player Studio. So what EverQuest did is not uncommon to what Unreal Tournament did. Fortnite, the Fortnite level editor, right? Fortnite has released a level editor, and you can actually create stuff for Fortnite, like levels and stuff, and you can sell them on like their store, right? So EverQuest actually kind of came up with this idea before that. And what they were going to do is they were going to give you an environment called EverQuest Next Landmark. which was basically a game engine to go into and build. And you can build castles and buildings and structures and bridges. And all of these things you build, you could export these assets out as files, upload them to the EverQuest Player Studio, and sell them for real world money. Kind of like how if you went to like the Unreal Engine, like I don't have that, and I uninstalled that recently as well. But if you went to Epic Games Engine, Epic Games Launcher, you can browse through assets, art assets, right? You guys, like if you're in a 3D game design program, like if you're in the Unreal Engine and you want to maybe buy some trees for your environment, you might go to the store and do a search for, oh, I'm looking for some pine trees. And there's all different types of pine trees. And you might want to buy, all these pine trees look great. I'll buy these, and maybe they're $20 or something. So EverQuest was going to do the same thing. They were going to give you guys tools for free, and you were going to develop all this stuff, and then you could put it in the Player Studio, and you could make money. And I was super stoked to do this because I'm a pretty good artist, and I'm like, I can do this. I'll make some really cool shit, you know. So I was very excited about this.
And we talked about it for a while, and the talks went on and on and on, and finally we came up with the idea that what we really wanted to do was make that experience something just incredibly special. And so what we're doing this winter is something that, well, we haven't announced until just now. We're releasing an entirely new game this winter, and it's called EverQuest Next Landmark. Now, surprise. So what EverQuest Next Landmark is, it's a huge collection of worlds that are all persistent, of course, just like any other MMO world that you're experienced with, you know, chats and guilds.
And so what Landmark was a world that you could go into and just build, and you could like build stuff. And they actually started doing other stuff. I think they eventually started putting like monsters and stuff in the world, so you could like practice combat. So they could, basically it was like their way of testing out systems, like combat and stuff, and building and constructing and stuff, that they wanted to put into EverQuest Next. And of course they ended up canceling it all, which really sucked. But you could probably do a search for EverQuest Next Landmark, like maybe best builds or something, and you might be able to find stuff. There's still videos that like 10 years ago. There's still like tons of stuff. Best creations. You know, these are things that people have created. Someone, obviously this person made like some mech warrior stuff in EverQuest Next Landmark, but which is, you know, it's interesting. And let's see. But there was some pretty cool stuff that people made, you know. Like, you know, nothing super groundbreaking, like somebody made this gothic castle. But again, this was a long time ago. And the cool part is you actually had a grappling hook. So you see how she's using her grappling hook to kind of grapple around. And that was actually one of the ways that you could build these tall structures, is you would grapple onto the structure so you could move. But I think there might have also been a flight mode where you could just, if you were building, you could fly in the air or something. I can't remember. But she's using the grappling hook to just grapple around. It was cool though. I mean, it was neat, you know. But I would love to see them come up with a game today where we could do something like this, where we could have really good building tools and build our stuff, man. So back to this video. So we're looking at the 8 huge MMOs that are on the way. One of these will likely overtake WoW, right? So what I was trying to say is, if we look at current landscape of World of Warcraft, because really there aren't that many MMOs out there that are super fun, you know, to play. So we've got fresh. Well, we don't even need to do this. We can just look at the Discord server. And look at this, right? So this is the current roadmap, right? So we've got the launch in autumn, which is November. In 2 days, we're going to launch the World of Warcraft Classic 20th anniversary. I'm calling it the Classic servers. And they're going to progress all the way until basically 1 year from today. And that will be the end of vanilla for these classic realms. And then it's going to progress into the Burning Crusade. And if these servers hold a good population, which I think they will, then they'll progress through the Burning Crusade. And if that holds really good population and is successful, then I'm pretty sure they would open up Wrath of the Lich King. So there's a possibility that you guys could be playing on these new servers that are launched in 2 days for 3 years. Which is pretty crazy to think about that, right? And I think it would be in a good idea. I think it would be in Blizzard's best interest to get rid of all the classic servers right now that are dead. I would just shut them all down. All the classic servers that are out there right now that are completely dead, I would literally shut them down and give people the option of transferring characters either to another server that they're not going to shut down, or maybe even transferring them at a later time to this server. Like once this server progresses to Burning Crusade, if you've got a level 60 character you want to transfer to this one, then let them transfer it at that time. But my point is that there aren't a lot of MMOs that are out there right now that I really want to, that I'm super excited to play. You know, I've played pretty much all of them. I've played Final Fantasy, I've played Guild Wars 2, I've played them all. And I still have the most fun playing WoW. But retail WoW has a lot of issues. There's certain issues in retail WoW that make me not play retail WoW because I don't want to get into that. And I hate season discovery. And so, I mean, really, this is the best, really, MMO I think that's going to be out there that I'm going to want to play. But what I'm saying is the chance of me playing this for 2 or 3 years is probably pretty slim. And the reason I say that is because I really do believe that we are going to see... I really do believe that we are going to see some games coming out in the next year or two that probably are going to be worth playing. So we've got EverQuest 3, but you know, as Ripoff was saying, he thinks it's in development. I don't really know that much about EverQuest 3. I do know it's in early development, so when it comes out, it's going to be, you know, it'll be a long ways from now. It's, you know, not anytime soon.
This year, and sadly we don't know a whole lot about this one yet because it was just announced. They've described it as being in its ideation phase, so pre-development. But they did confirm that they are working on it and that they are hiring for its development. EverQuest was the MMO to play back before WoW was released. After that, WoW took over and EverQuest's attempts to steal the spotlight back were unsuccessful. EverQuest 2 and EverQuest Next fell somewhat flat in comparison. So flat that to this day, the original EverQuest, with its small but loyal population, still has more players than the other two combined. EverQuest 3 is going to be one more chance for a
The thing
to this day, the original EverQuest, with its small but loyal population, still has more...
Okay, the thing I don't get is, first off, EverQuest Next was never released. So, I don't know, you know, I might comment on Lucky's stream here and say, Lucky, do you realize that EverQuest Next was never released? So to sit here and say that EverQuest has more population or interest over time than these two combined, it's kind of silly. Because this was never a game that was released. It wasn't even in beta. Like, it wasn't even in any form. So, and he's comparing the just interest. This isn't like actual people playing the game. This is just interest, which is basically just people searching for it on YouTube, right? I mean, on Google. And you can see that EverQuest Next is pretty much a flat line, right? That's because it never released. So this is kind of a little bit misleading. EverQuest 2 is a game that you can play right now, and it's actually pretty fun if you guys have never played EverQuest 2. But it's very glitchy. There's lots of issues. The combat's clunky. The movement's not great. The graphics aren't great. And you have to like really go through a lot of like add-ons and stuff to kind of customize the UI to make it manageable because the UI is really cluttered. But it is very customizable though. So you can definitely kind of customize it to the way you like. But if you've never played EverQuest 2 and you definitely are a hardcore MMO player and you don't mind bad graphics and clunky combat, give it a go. But if you can't deal with bad graphics and clunky combat, I would not play it.
Players than the other two combined. EverQuest 3 is going to be one more chance for a successful AAA MMO. And as you'll see, we have quite a few of those on this list. And for once, only a few of the MMOs on this list look like they will be ruined by monetization. That's great news. Next up, we have Horizon Online, a Sony...
Now, I want to tell you that this one I think is... This is almost like my most... This is like probably the MMO that's coming that I'm almost the most excited for. And I think the reason I say that is because I really like the story behind Horizon Online, you know? Like Horizon Zero Dawn, like the characters and the world they live in are really cool. And the story is pretty good. And if you guys have ever played Horizon Zero Dawn, it's a really fun game. So I like the art style, you know? So I'm actually really excited for Horizon Online. And also, well, let's just listen to what he says.
The MMO that's being made by NCSoft, which means that it's likely going to come to PC and PlayStation at the very.
Now, NCSoft is a bad word for a lot of people, right? But the one thing that you can't complain about with NCSoft is NCSoft can make an MMO. They know how to host it. They know how to set up the hardware. They know how to make the game run smoothly. I mean, we've got games like Ion. We've got games like Lineage 2, games like Throne and Liberty. All of these games run smoothly. The worlds look nice. And, you know, they know how to make MMOs. The problem with NCSoft games is that they're usually very heavily monetized. And they don't always have the best... They don't always have the best combat systems. You know, a lot of times they're just kind of tab targeting and pretty simplistic.
Very least. Sony and NCSoft have seemingly teamed up to make an MMORPG for the Horizon franchise. This is a fascinating concept to think about. Sony is responsible for titles like God of War and Horizon, games with amazing storytelling, while NCSoft has definitely got a lot of experience making MMOs, like Lineage 2 and Throne and Liberty. Right now, this project...
And he also forgot Ion there.
...is internally being referred to as Project H. NCSoft...
I'm pretty sure that Ion was made by... And see, look, developer NCSoft, and let's not forget WildStar also, although it never really took off. WildStar was also, even though it was made by Carbine Studios, but the publisher was NCSoft. But yeah, but Ion was a really good game actually. Out of between Ion and Lineage 2, I mean, I think Ion was better, and I would say between Ion, Lineage 2, and Throne of Liberty, I still would say Ion was probably the superior game.
Stated that they have an internal development team working on the title. In 2023, they had well over 100 people working on it, which means they are well underway in their development. Meanwhile, we've seen job postings from ArenaNet about working on an Unreal Engine 5 powered online fantasy RPG. Is ArenaNet working on Horizon Online, or are they working on something else? All we know right now is negotiations have concluded and development has begun. So it sounds like this is actually happening. You have to imagine that since this is an important franchise for Sony, Sony would keep the monetization of the MMO, let's say, purer than NCSoft titles typically.
And I think that's really cool. I think Sony, this is a really big franchise for Sony. This game has been very successful for them. So I do agree that they're not going to want to heavily monetize this, which is great. And they do tell really good stories. If you guys haven't played Horizon games, they're really good. So.
Typically have become known for over the years, which means we could see a title that has NCSoft quality, Sony lore, and Sony monetization. This could be a good combination. The Horizon franchise has been heralded as one of the best out there, and its world really does lend itself to an MMO type of setting. Seeing as they had over 100 people working on this in 2023, we can expect this game to be out within the next 5 or 6 years. And I've got to be honest, I didn't see this MMO or this partnership coming, but in a lot of ways, I think it makes perfect sense, and I'm excited to follow it. Do you ever find yourself craving a massive, beautiful, open world game to explore? Then the sponsor of today's video is perfect for you. The Epic Games Store, which has over 2,900 with the recent success of Space Marine 2, I think now more than ever there is an appetite for a Warhammer MMO. This is being made by a brand new studio called Jackalyptic Games, headed by Emmerich, who's known for his work on games like Neverwinter. Emmerich says he's excited to be working with Games Workshop to bring the deep lore of the IP to the massively multiplayer experience. They plan to build the game in Unreal Engine 5, and he wants combat to be fluid, so it's sounding like it's going to be more like an action game than a tab target game. As for monetization, it hasn't been firmly announced yet, but he did mention that he feels like he's leaning away from free-to-play. I think the most noteworthy thing that he said about the Warhammer MMO so far was that he thought the mistake other developers in the West made was that they focused too hard on trying to beat WoW at its own game, which means they would have to be as successful or more successful than WoW to put out as much content and as high of quality content to be able to compete with WoW at its own game. So instead, he plans for this new Warhammer MMO to carve its own path to avoid that problem. This is one of a few MMOs on the list today that are really making it their mission statement to be a new type of MMO, to deliver a new experience that you're not already getting with WoW in particular. He also says that they are not ready to announce whether it's going to be a fantasy Warhammer game or a 40k Warhammer game, but that they do internally know the answer to that question. Perhaps the most controversial thing that he said was that PvP is not and will not be a focus for this MMO. Personally, I'm fine with that. I get my PvP fix in other games. I don't tend to spend a lot of time PvPing in MMOs.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be super excited about a Warhammer MMO. I mean, I'm not really into sci-fi MMOs that much, but I definitely would play it just to see. because I do like sci-fi games, but I just tend to like fantasy MMOs better. But this would definitely be something I would try out though.
MMOs these days. Although that could be a chicken and egg thing. Am I not PvPing because current MMOs aren't offering a great PvP experience? MMOs with the highest chance to do something special, but also perhaps the highest chance to smother that special game to death with over monetization. ArcAge 2 is coming to PC and console and was recently delayed past 2025. We found out that ArcAge 2 is going to be a radical departure from its predecessor's large-scale PvP between factions, instead focusing on single-player content and guild versus guild content. Now, the coolest thing about ArcAge 2 is that it has some features we don't really see in other MMOs right now, such as Sea Warfare, which, if done right, could be a ton of fun. You may have noticed by the graphics, this is going to be another MMO built on Unreal Engine 5. ArcAge 2 has plans to allow players to build entire towns and customize them. So far, we know the game will feature humans and elves, and I'm looking forward to seeing what other races make it into the game. According to the developer, the game is going to feature a seamless open world, and if you've been following the progress of Ashes of Creation, you'll hear some familiar features in ArcAge 2, as Ashes of Creation has drawn significant inspiration from ArcAge 1. The developers plan for ArcAge 2 to have action-packed combat, and so far what I've seen reminds me a lot of BDO. They also said it's very important for the game to have AAA visuals that take advantage of the Unreal Engine 5's capabilities, and based on this early footage, it looks like they're succeeding on that front. They are putting a lot of time and money into telling an immersive and compelling storyline.
I think, you know, for me, like the world of an MMO is probably the most important part. Like if I want to play an MMO and I want it to be a good MMO, I mean, for me, the world is probably the key component. You know, like I think that's why World of Warcraft succeeds so well, is because it's such a big world. I mean, WoW's pretty big, and it's a nice looking world, even though it's dated now. But you know, when you walk through game, like if you ever played like Black Desert Online, it's a beautiful, and this looks a lot like Black Desert Online actually. It's a beautiful world, and a lot of it has to do with how you traverse the world and how alive the world feels. One of the coolest things about Black Desert Online is when you go into a city, like in BDO, like there could be no players in the city and the city would still feel alive because there's NPCs walking around, there's NPCs talking to each other, there's NPCs like blacksmiths that are hammering on swords. I mean, there's so much activity going on in these cities, even though that there could be no players whatsoever. But it just really lends itself to the world feeling alive. And you can, of course, you can interact and talk to every single one of those NPCs.
That take advantage of the Unreal Engine 5's capabilities.
I'm just kind of seeing the similar thing here. This reminds me a lot of BDO.
Based on this early footage, it looks like they're succeeding on that front. They are putting a lot of time and money into telling an immersive and compelling storyline this time, and are aiming to have a less linear progression and focus on a more personal story and journey than they did in ArcAge 1. The story of the game will portray Aurora when it was first discovered and people were first settling in the area. The story will involve discovering and solving the mysteries of an ancient civilization that had been forgotten for thousands of years, leaving it to blend with the natural environment. Like I said last time, this civilization kind of reminds me of the Dwemer from Elder Scrolls franchise. The developer went on to acknowledge that ArcAge 1 had trade runs that were enjoyable but had many flaws. So in ArcAge 2, they have Lord of the Rings MMO by Amazon Game Studios. This one,
I thought this one was canceled, so I'm a little bit. I thought this one was canceled.
It's coming to PC and maybe console. We're not sure yet. While it's very early in development for this one, especially since the last Lord of the Rings MMO fell through when they couldn't come to an agreement with a Chinese publisher, this Lord of the Rings MMO will be developed by Amazon Games in the United States. They say it plans to be authentic to the source material, but it is being made by Amazon Games, who are owned by Amazon, who haven't been exactly faithful to Lord of the Rings in the Rings of Power TV show. So, fingers crossed, I guess. This MMO will be made by the same dev team that made New World. About a year ago, when I last made a video about this, I was worried that this would impact New World's content release schedule, and with the power of hindsight, it looks like I might have been right, with the #1 complaint from the New World player base being lack of endgame content over the last year. But the question is, would I be willing to trade speed on New World's updates for speed on a Lord of the Rings MMO? Yes, I would. It sounds like they plan to make the world massive and seamless, just like New World or WoW, and this is great news for me. I am also bored of MMOs that call themselves open world, but just end up with everyone standing in town queuing up for content as though they are sitting in a multiplayer lobby game. And that's not a dig against any one MMO, that pretty much describes every MMO out right now. And yes, they will be using the same Azoth engine that New World uses, but
which is unfortunate because that's not the best engine.
Do plan to evolve the engine considerably so that it will not feel like New World.
I hope they do evolve the engine, because the engine they use for New World is a heavily customized engine that has a lot of issues. And so hopefully they'll modify it.
This is honestly fine with me. I thought the New World engine did a lot of things really well. Climbing, mantling, gathering, zone design, and scale, all without a single load screen as you run from one end of the game to the other. There are a lot of positives to be had with.
Oh yeah, I will say what I complain about with the Azoth engine is just the development. It's not good for developers. It's like, because I talked to somebody who worked at Amazon Game Studios, and they told me about the issues with the game engine. It was just that it was very difficult to develop. It was very it didn't have the tools there that made it really easy. Like the rapid application development in the engine wasn't good. But the engine itself, like especially the foliage, like if you walk through New World, the foliage and stuff is beautiful. Some of the best foliage of any MMO actually, outside of maybe Justice Online, but really really good. I love New World. The world itself in New World is probably my favorite thing about New World is the world. You're walking through and the rivers and the lakes and the mountains. It's really really cool.
The New World engine. Last time I made this vid, I said I hoped we'd see swimming added to New World so that the Lord of the Rings MMO could take advantage of it, and I'm happy to report that swimming was added to New World in its latest update. You can now swim. The engine can handle it. So
I mean, yeah, so this is what I'm talking about. Look at this.
You can now swim.
Look at this. This is a real shot from in New World. I mean, that is absolutely gorgeous.
The engine can handle it. So there's hope for the Lord of the Rings MMO yet. If they have a clear vision for the story and the questing and the dungeons and the raids from the very beginning of this MMO, and they spend the entire development cycle working towards that end, I think this game is going to be a home run. A massive open world MMO in a seamless world without load screens and heaps of Lord of the Rings lore. It's just going to be really hard to fail here. Unfortunately, this is very early in development, but there is a silver lining. Because it's an experienced team and they are reusing the Azoth engine, its development timeline should be significantly reduced compared to your average MMO timeline. Still, an optimistic timeline here would be to see a playable beta in 4 years. So thank God for the other MMOs on this list in the meantime. Speaking of NCSoft, there's another MMO they're currently working on known as Project LLL. This one is coming to PC and it's a first-person shooter MMORPG. It looks like Destiny meets Titanfall. We've got a decent amount of gameplay footage for this game and it's a beautiful UE5 game.
Yeah, this one looks really interesting. Another kind of sci-fi post-apocalyptic one, but it looks interesting. Like I said, sci-fi ones aren't my favorite kind of MMOs, but this one does look kind of interesting.
The game will feature PvE and PvP encounters, as well as dynamic events throughout the world. The game looks like it's got a really dark and gritty sci-fi side to it, which definitely has piqued my interest. It was also announced that the game has a vast open world in which more than 30 square kilometers of land area are seamlessly connected to a single environment. The core elements that make up the open world are uninterrupted loading and movement. In order to convey a seamless environment, they implemented content streaming and utilized the most cutting-edge rendering technology. So it sounds like they're really wanting to have a more open world feel as opposed to its primary competitor, Destiny, which has more of a lobby-based MMO feel to it. To put that into perspective, 30 square kilometers is about the same size as Breath of the Wild and GTA 5. Based on the gameplay we saw, there appears to be a lot of sci-fi and horror elements, grotesque enemies, a mega boss of some sort that appears to be made of 1,000 arms. I didn't see any quote-unquote magic like you'd see in a traditional MMO. More so, we saw the character utilize rockets fired over his shoulder from a backpack gadget, a jetpack for jumping to higher places, and even state, which means this one is likely to release sooner than most of the MMOs on this list. Next up, we have Soulframe from Digital Extremes, the same people that made Warframe. This one's coming to PC and console. It looks like this is going to be an MMO light. In other words,
this one I think looks interesting, but MMO light doesn't sound good though.
It's going to be an MMO in the way that Warframe is an MMO. Perhaps more co-op than massively multiplayer, but we'll have to wait and see how it turns out for sure. Fortunately,
yes,
this one is...
If it's going to be like Warframe, I'm not interested in this one at all, to be honest. Oh, we have Dune Awakening, which is actually
MMO,
pretty far
and
along
now we finally know everything about it, including an approximate release date. Dune Awakening is expected to release in the first quarter of 2025. The director of the game describes it as a survival, open-world, massively multiplayer game. Players are invited to explore the world of Dune and involve themselves with politics, intrigue, and finding a way to survive together on the most dangerous planet in the universe.
And all the stuff I've seen on Dune Awakening, I've seen a lot of positive and negatives on this one. I don't think this game is really ready to be released. I feel like it hasn't been really fleshed out. It hasn't been like even when I saw the combat that I saw, the footage, it just looked it still looked pretty janky. It wasn't super fluid. So I'd be surprised if this game was a huge success on release, but if they continue to obviously fix the issues that they do come upon, maybe this game will be good. I don't know. We'll find out. But I don't think this one on release is going to be super successful, but we'll see.
Universe. I would describe it as Funcom's Conan Exiles meets Rust meets an MMO that takes place in the distant future in the Dune universe. It sounds epic. The director says that when Dune Awakening begins, you're a castaway in the deep desert, and all you'll have is a knife you crafted from scrap metal. You'll have to use this and only this to sneak into enemy camps and eliminate enemies to better arm yourself. By endgame, you'll be part of a big guild that has a fleet of vehicles, such as ornithopters, sand bikes, and tanks, that you'll use to head out to collect spice in the desert, where you'll undoubtedly clash with your enemy guilds. And where there's noise in the desert, there are sandworms. While playing Dune, you'll have to learn how to survive the sandworms and to manage your precious and incredibly limited water supplies. Dune Awakening combines the grittiness and the creativity of survival games with the social interactivity of large-scale persistent multiplayer games to create a unique and ambitious open-world survival MMO. As mentioned, this is the developer that made Conan Exiles, which is described as an online multiplayer survival game with mounts and mounted combat, set in the lands of Conan the Barbarian. And no surprise, there seems to be a lot of overlap between the two games. It sounds like Dune is going to be a way more ambitious version of Conan Exiles. Instead of dozens of players on a server, Dune will have thousands. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out in a game where you're meant to gather materials and build a base to defend yourself from other players in the wilderness. Right now, I'm totally picturing a guild-centric Rust, but in the desert with a giant sandworm roaming around trying to kill me. The best materials and ingredients I'm assuming will be deeper into the desert, farther from the safety of your fort. So perhaps you'll spend...
So yeah, I think Dune seems interesting. Of course, we have Throne of Liberty, but I mean, I've played Throne of Liberty quite a bit. I played the Korean version quite a bit, and I'm not a big fan of Throne of Liberty. I just don't think it's my type of MMO. It's a little bit too, hardcore PvP-ish. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of Throne of Liberty. So
MMORPG set to be released on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. Throne of Liberty was released in the East in 2023.
Yeah, it was released in the East, and I've already played it, so whatever. Combat's very clunky in Throne of Liberty, and the way you progress your gears, that RNG based shit, which I'm not a big fan of. And but the world's beautiful. Throne of Liberty, the world is quite nice. So Ashes of Creation, this will be interesting. See what he says about Ashes of Creation.
NCSoft a bad reputation in the West over the years. Next up, we have Ashes of Creation coming to PC. If you love the idea of Throne and Liberty, but you hate the idea of pay to win, Ashes of Creation might be the perfect MMO for you. Ashes of Creation started its development in 2016, so it's currently 8 years in and no release date in sight. It's worth noting though, there is a controversial closed alpha coming up here at the end of October that I'll be jumping into to finally get some hands-on time with the game. If you don't want to fork out $100 and some odd required for the alpha access, then be sure to subscribe to my channel so that you can see my videos about it when they go live. Ashes of Creation is definitely one of the most exciting MMOs on the horizon. It's a massive MMO featuring a beautiful, seamless world and is set to release on PC with no current plans for console and definitely not coming to mobile. While no official release date has been announced, we still know way more about this game than any other MMO on this list. Unlike many of the other games on this list, Ashes of Creation has already had a very public, very successful Alpha 1 back in 2021, where players were allowed to stream and make content about the state of the game so far. On top of that, the developers have been very public with their progress every step of the way. This year, they showed off a lot more gameplay around their caravan system, and more recently, a raid fight with a dragon. So this MMO does have a decent chance of turning out to be a real, complete MMO that releases into full 1.0 state someday. My favorite part about Ashes of Creation is that it defines loot boxes, XP potions, and inventory problems as pay to win. In my opinion, that is a massive breath of fresh air. It looks like the monetization of Ashes of Creation will be 100% above board. This is just one more reason I think it stands a fantastic chance of succeeding where others have failed. The game will be sub to play with no box purchase. Combine that with its beautiful world, traditional MMO design, and ambitious scope, and you can instantly see why Ashes of Creation is currently one of the most anticipated MMOs today. It will feature the trinity of tank, healer, and DPS. Combat can be a make or break feature for this genre, but after seeing some of the combat, I think it looks pretty decent so far, and I'm excited to see what they come up with for the rest of the classes. Ashes of Creation is not content to build a better version of what came before it. It also has some innovative features, including things like plans to have a dynamic world that changes based on player behavior. Specific nodes can be upgraded to unlock new content and new resources based on player activity in Love it, but PvE players might be disappointed with the Ashes of Creation experience. Next,
the biggest problem with Ashes of Creation is there's a couple big issues with Ashes of Creation. One is it's the whole node based map control, which really, I don't know. I mean, to me, ripoff. I think Ashes. I think it will come out, but my problem with Ashes is it's more of a PvP game, and it has these maps that are basically based on nodes that are controlled by players, and it's just one of those games where you're going to see a lot of guilds put together. Powerful guilds get together, and they're going to control maps, and it's going to be very difficult for people who aren't a part of these massive guilds. And the guild, typically when you have these types of games where you have these big guilds that control parts of a map, it becomes very toxic. And like if you try to go through those map zones, through those areas, you're just going to get destroyed by huge groups of people from this guild, and it becomes very toxic. It is, yeah. The latest alpha, I watched some footage of it, and there were definitely a lot of issues. The server didn't run that great, and I didn't watch enough. I need to go back and watch more. I think Lazy Peon. I think we probably should look at Lazy Peon. I'm sure he did a video, but I think he did actually, and I think Lazy was someone who was very pro Ashes Creation, and I think even he was pretty. I don't want to say he was like super critical, but I felt like he was pretty honest. Oh, he just did another one of his fighting ones. Yeah, see, he did this one here.
So, I feel like being made in an older engine.
And if you look at, so at the end of his video, he says, what did he like in the alpha? And it wasn't like a ton. He said the combat feels good very early on in the game. Movement feels good, not clunky. Leveling up feels impactful. I love the damage numbers. Huge world. The world feels dangerous. Slow, long, satisfying progression like vanilla. The world events feel good. I like the slow progression like vanilla. Combat sound effects are decent. I was left wanting to play more, so that's good. But here's like the things to improve, right? Things to improve. Visual graphics at times look worse than MMOs in older engines. So I mean, remember, this is Unreal Engine 5, so the graphics really, he said, didn't look that good. New player experience is not good. Questing needs a lot of work. Some of the point of interest needs some work. Some assets feel random. Artisan skills need to be introduced to the player in a better way. Still some animation improvements needed. Need to find better balance of solo versus group. Game doesn't feel solo friendly. And so he did say it surpassed. He did say it surpassed his expectations, which surprised me because when I watched this video and when he was talking about some of the negatives, it didn't really sound like it surpassed his stuff. Very good foundation. They've done. It really felt like he was reaching and kind of stretching to say some of these things that he said. The improvements that do need to be made aren't as difficult as improving fundamental gameplay. Feels better than New World did 2 years out of release. If that's true, it must feel pretty good because I played New World 2 years before it was released, so I was in early betas and alphas of New World. Gameplay feels better than Throne of Liberty. That is good because I've played Throne of Liberty, and Throne of Liberty gameplay is not great. Excited for the future. And then, of course, Steven, responded because, Steven always is watching everything that everybody does. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I definitely think the game's going to be released. They've already got a workable, playable game. It's just they need to keep fleshing out all the systems. But there's some serious issues with the PvP being toxic, and also I don't like the fact that the strips of land that you can own in the game are actually really in the world, and so only 10% of the player base can probably acquire them. So if I can't remember what they're called, but if you want to own like your own piece of land to grow your crops and have your crafting stations, good luck, because maybe 1 in 10 people will be able to get that. So I think that sucks. I think that totally sucks. I mean, if I'm paying for a game and crafting is like a really big part, where like I think it's going to be in Ashes of Creation, I think it sucks that I can't have my own piece of land, that I can't have my own plot, just because there's not enough physical space in the world to put enough plots down that everybody could own one. So I'm not a fan of that. I would rather have it instance space and just say, you know what, give me my own instance location to go do it. Just like how WoW has like, garrisons or whatever. It's just an instance location where you go into and do your crafting and do your, your stuff, And then you can, just like WoW, you can invite other people to come into your garrison if you want, I would rather have that than not be able to get it,
Except Riot's League of Legends MMO coming to PC, and, well, we're not sure yet. We don't know a lot about this one, but there was one development that was made publicly, and that was the departure of their lead, Greg Street, who left Riot and started his own studio so that he could make his own MMO. Does that mean his vision of what a great MMO would be and Riot's vision were not aligned? I guess time will tell when we eventually see the two products unfold. It's exciting to think that any of the MMOs on the list could be the next one to capture the genre the way that WoW did in its prime. But I think Riot's track record so far suggests it's definitely one of the most likely candidates to succeed. One interesting thing of note is that while Riot and Fantastic Pixel Castle are both studios located in the United States, they're both owned or financed by Chinese gaming giants Tencent and NetEase. Will we see Chinese monetization models leak into these MMOs? So far, they say no. One thing is for sure, Riot's MMO will launch to a massive audience, as its fans have long been waiting for a reason to dive into the League of Legends universe. Everything we know about the League of Legends MMO in the past is a moot point now, as they announced that they were scrapping all of their previous years of work with the departure of Greg Street to start over and try to make something that felt more unique. That news hit me like a punch to the gut. With Blizzard's Odyssey being canceled and Riot's MMO being restarted, the MMOs we were most excited about keep getting pulled out of our reach. Next up, we have Ghost by Fantastic Pixel.
Okay, so I mean, I think the Riot one. I think Riot has, when you think of World of Warcraft, you think of Blizzard games, you think of polish, like their games are very polished. Riot's the same way. Games that are made by Riot are extremely polished. League of Legends is a very polished game. Great lore around the characters, great videos and content they've created to support the new characters that they add to League of Legends, and the stories are really cool. So I think that Riot definitely has the talent and the I'm getting tired, I guess. And you know what I mean? They have the group of people behind it that can actually advertise the game. That can actually the publicity, I guess. They have the ability to drive like a publicity engine that can promote their game in a good way, which is good, and that's important. And they have the money. You have to have the money to make a good MMO, and they have the money. So I think Riot definitely is one we're going to have to keep an eye on, because I definitely think they could put out a game. I think my only concern with Riot is it'll be more focused for a more PvE friendly version of an MMO, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I don't know. I mean, League of Legends is a competitive game, so who knows? I'm not sure. I just think that definitely it's interesting, and I think that they could put out a game that could be really good, but obviously it's years and years off. But I definitely think it's one that we need to watch. Now, Ghost, which is by Fantastic Pixel Castle, which is run by Greg Street. This one I don't like. I mean, what he's coming up with, I'm not really a fan of how he's doing his shards and his different worlds. I'm not a fan of what he's doing.
Pixel Castle. This one's coming to PC first and then console later. The developers of Ghost feel like MMOs have moved too far in the direction of a solo experience, and they aim to bring it back to a more community-oriented.
Well, I agree with that 100%. MMOs 100% have gone way too solo.
Experience. While they haven't put out very much art for the game yet, they've described it as being a fantasy game that will not have elves and orcs, so they want to try to do something new there. In Ghost, the game will be broken into what they're describing as shards. There's going to be blue shards for you and your friends. These are basically going to be private instances where you can get together and do everything from killing monsters to building bases. Then there are red shards that deliver a traditional MMO experience. They say you'll never see the same blue shard twice, which means they plan to use some amount of procedural generation to make sure they are always a little different than the last time you entered. They say they want this game to be for everyone, including endgame raiders, PvPers, and questers.
Right off the bat, I just don't like it. I mean, it feels like he's trying to do too much. He's trying to take too big of a bite out of that piece of pie. You know what I mean? It's like, well, I'm gonna make a game where friends can get together, and every blue shard they go to is different than the one they were at before. But then we're gonna have red shards where everybody can get together, and it's gonna have PvP and PvE, and you know what I mean? It just feels like you're trying to do too much, And I also don't like the idea of having different shards either. I think why segment the player base, Like, I think the biggest problem that MMO makers tend to make is that they're trying to make an MMO that can be played by every type of MMO player. They're trying to cater to everybody. And I just don't think that's a realistic way to develop an MMO. I think you really need to focus on, more of a specific. You need to be like, what is the main goal of your MMO? Is it PvE? Is it PvP? I mean, you can make a PvE MMO that also has PvP, but I don't think you can make one that's going to be like super amazing at both. It's kind of hard. I mean, you could definitely do it, but I think you kind of have to in some way put a weighted system on there and say, well, you know, I think 80% of the players that are playing our game we think are going to be PvE players, you know, and maybe 20% of our players are going to be PvP players. So we really should spend 80% of our time developing content for those 80% of the player base, or just, you know, just say we're just going to make a PvE game. But I think I think that's probably not a good idea. I think you should always try to have PvE and PvP and MMOs, just simply because there's so many people that like both of those segments. But when you start going out and doing other stuff, like saying, well, I want to have a PvE MMO, PvP MMO that also has like housing and crafting and, you know, and player created content, and I want to do like battlegrounds, and I want to do like ship battles, and you start to get just too much stuff, you know. It's like, I just don't think that's a good way to go about it. And when I hear about this Ghost MMO, it just feels like to me he's trying to do too much.
Interestingly, they want a brand new player to be able to jump in and play with someone else regardless of how long they've been playing the game, which brings a ton of questions about progression into my mind. Does this mean that the world is going to be level scaled, or how is that going to work? Generally, I am very much against level scaling.
I agree. I don't like level scaling. I don't mind the hero. I don't mind the sidekick though. And the sidekick is where you're like a level 50 character, and maybe your friend's only level 20. And I don't have a problem if you do some sort of a limited time sidekick where you say, okay, I'm going to sidekick this level 20 character, and it's going to power him up to be like level 50, just so that he can do content that I'm doing, and he will get some experience to help him level. And that way, when he unsidekicks, let's say he's level 20 and I'm level 50, and I sidekick him to my level, and then we go out and do level 50 content together, he's going to get some experience. And then when we break our group and he goes back down to level 20, the experience he got will be scaled in a way that it's applicable for as if he had done level 20 content, you know, to the same degree. So let's say we do a dungeon, a level 50 dungeon. How much percent of a level would I get if I did a level 20 dungeon? If I did a level 20 dungeon and I cleared it, maybe I'd get 20% of a level. Well, if I did a level 50 dungeon with my level 50 friend and I sidekicked up to his level, same thing. Then when I break group, I should get 20% of a level. And I think that's a great system. You know, I don't want to see level scaling though. I don't want to see like the world trying to scale every zone to your level. I'm not a fan of that. I think I'm also not a fan of levels being specific to any level range either. You know, that's something that we see way too much in MMOs. I think every zone should have groups of mobs. You know, like you could be in one zone, like just for using World of Warcraft as an example, we could have a zone like Darkshore where maybe North Darkshore is like, you know, level 20 to 30 mobs, and South Darkshore is like level 1 to 10, and maybe there's some caves, you know, hidden caves throughout the zone that have level 50 mobs, or maybe, you know what I mean? It should be a lot more varied because that makes the world feel more dangerous. So,
especially in MMOs, it never makes for a compelling combat experience. Mobs just don't scale well that way. They never have, and I don't think they ever will. So this topic really concerns me. They also say that there's going to be between 20 and 50 classes in game. Some of these classes will be unlocked by playing the game, but it sounds like the depth of those classes would be kind of like saying Classic WoW has 27 classes because each class has 3 specs.
Yeah, and again, it just sounds like Greg Street's trying to do too much.
Ghost will have some form of account-wide progression to make it so that you can more easily try and play all of those classes, or at least as many as you'd like to. They also want to make it so that your achievement grinds and your rep grinds are account-wide. Fantastic Pixel Castle has also said that the game will feature the holy trinity of tank, healer, and DPS. They think this works great and does not need to be reinvented. I fully agree with them on this. Anytime an MMO lacks the trinity of tank, healer, and DPS, the group content always really fails to captivate.
Yeah, I totally 100% agree. I'm a big fan of the Holy Trinity. I think the Holy Trinity should always be there. I also am not a fan of homogenization of classes, and what I mean by that is I'm not a fan of DPS classes having heals. I think that a healer should heal. I think a DPS should DPS, and I think a tank should tank. I mean, I think there might be some slight abilities, like maybe like if you're a hunter, you might have some sort of like first aid ability you can use out of combat to help heal yourself, or maybe like during combat. Something very small, but I don't want to see classes like warriors have the ability to heal themselves in combat. That just isn't, that's what the healer's there for. It's not, you know, that's what the healer's for, okay?
That teamwork and the strategy that comes with the Trinity is generally what separates MMO combat from other types of games. Right now, they are thinking of having more skills on your bar than League of Legends and less than in WoW. So somewhere between 5 and 50 skills on your bar. That doesn't...
Well, and I think, no, I think he's saying more skills in your bar than League of Legends and less than WoW. It's saying 5 and 50 doesn't make any sense because you don't really have 50 skills in WoW generally. You might have 50 keybinds, but that's because you are keybinding macros of the same ability that do different things, like a focus macro for a rogue's kick, for example, or target arena 1 macro for kick, target arena 2 macro for kick, target arena maybe 3, or you could have like 9 macros that are basically they're just 3 abilities. It'd be like shadow step, kick, and blind or something. You know what I mean? So, so I don't think that's what they're saying at all. I think if he's saying that somewhere in the middle between League of Legends and World of Warcraft, I think what we're talking about is what I like is probably around the range of like 15 to 25 abilities. You know what I mean? You're trying to decide on mage or hunter. Are you talking? Hey, Living, are you talking about for the new servers? You know what I mean? Personally, myself, I think personally for me, I find like retail WoW to have too many abilities and it's too much ability bloat, too many keybinds. Games like EverQuest 2 have too many abilities. Games like Terra were really good. I thought they really hit the sweet spot. Guild Wars 2 and also I thought was really good. You don't need a lot of abilities to have a fairly complicated combat system. You really don't, especially if you start taking into account either interactions with the abilities used in certain orders. Like let's say if you use this ability and then after this ability you use this ability and that makes this ability a little bit better, or if the abilities in some way are different based on other things. Like maybe if I use this ability and I'm hitting the enemy in the back, it does more damage than if I'm hitting in the front. Or maybe this ability, when I'm using it, I have some sort of guard or protection, meaning that like if I'm using this ability and somebody hits me, I take 20% less damage, whereas if I use this other ability, I take 100% full damage. So there's all these different things you can do with the combat system that don't really affect how many skills you have. But to me, the sweet spot of abilities for me is probably like 15 to 25. And if I had to say, if I wanted to really narrow that down to like a specific number, I probably would say, I would say 8. I'm not going to narrow it down to a specific. I would say 18 to 20. Me personally, I think 18 to 20 skills is a really good area to be in. Yeah, I can do DM tribute runs. I can do the AQ40 skip 100, but I always play it. I want to think arenas in the future. Trying to decide mage or hunter. You're playing discreet. Yeah, the hunter definitely you can do the tribute runs, right? And the priest too, right? On the hunter. But I always play it. Well, I mean, if you want to go, I mean, mage, I think, I'm trying to remember if mage was really that good. And honestly, you know what's funny, Living? I don't remember the tier list for where the mage falls. And mage is always good, right? Mage is always good. I can't remember too many arena seasons where mage wasn't good. But if we look at like, I think what you're really going to, because we know mage is good in vanilla, but you might want to look at a TBC. Let's see, WoW, TBC, PvP tier list. Let's see. Yes, this is from Stoops, one of my favorite people.
TBC PvP tier list. Now, I've spent hundreds of games over the past week on my live stream testing out the meta, which you can find somewhere here on the screen. And I've spent quite a bit of time on Endless to try to put together a list for you guys using some of the information that I got. So, the first class, in my opinion, we're starting with Melee. I think ultimately, in my opinion, it's the best class in the game. That is the Rogue. The Rogue, by far, I think has the craziest toolkit out of any class. And when it comes to Arena,
look at how cool, like, look at how cool Arena Season 1 was. Arena Season 1, Burning Crusade, first season for Arena. And, oh, look, Sam I Am and Snuts. Two legends. Two legends of WoW PvP. But it's so cool, like, that I think it makes me super excited to play the Burning Crusade because I played Arena Season 1 and I was like rated almost 2,000, which was really high back then. That was actually really high back then. And I had an absolute blast. And the PvP is not as complicated. PvP today is so complicated. PvP back in this time was so much more simplistic. So it was, the barrier to entry is not as big, and you can anybody can go and pick it up and play it and have just all sorts of fun. So that's why I'm having a hard time deciding if I want to play, the hardcore servers or the PvP server because I do want to progress to the Burning Crusade. So I'm really kind of torn between the two servers, the two fresh servers. And that's why right now, as it sits, I'm thinking of creating a character on both and just trying to maybe spend a little time leveling them both. And I do love hardcore, but I like the idea of progressing to the Burning Crusade. But yeah, I mean, Mage is awesome. I was just curious where Mage fell in. You're saying trying to decide between Mage or Hunter. But you say Mage or Hunter, you're not going to play Disc Priest? Is that what you're saying? You're saying that you're definitely not going to play Disc Priest? Because Disc Priest is really good in the Burning Crusade, just so you know.
Being able to use prep in the arena and being able to reset your cooldowns on evasion, vanish, sprint, shadow step.
You wills and all. Okay.
Is just very, very strong in 2s and in S tier comp.
Warrior's really good. I mean, he's going to say Warrior. I'm going to say Warrior's got to be A tier.
Below the Rogue is the Warrior. I think the Warrior is the second best melee in the game. There is a big difference, I think, between the Rogue and the Warrior, but Warriors do very well as well. You have
arms. We're talking arms Warrior.
Good utility with disarm. Intervene can be used in really cool scenarios where you can intervene blinds or intervene kidney shots or just intervene any target where Rogue is on. And if he uses a
notice how he's got a shield here. That's interesting.
Combo point on you, then he resets his combo points on the target that he was initially on. I think Warrior scales very well with certain items and gear. You have different weapon choices for different play styles. You have polearm and axe for more crit. You have sword spec if you're playing with like a shaman and you want to take advantage of Wind Fury. And then you also have Mace Stun. And then if you get a Deep Thunder or Storm Herald, then it's really cool to use. Underneath the Warrior is the Feral Druid. I think the Feral Druid does a lot of damage. Retribution Paladin and the Enhancement Shaman. Enhancement Shaman you can have some fun with. And you have some other specs like Destro, a bit more, definitely Hunter to spell. You have a Purge.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, Warlocks definitely did feel like they were pretty strong in TBC. I don't remember Paladins being super. Yeah, I never really played Paladins in TBC. I didn't start playing Paladins that much until Wrath. Interesting. He's got Warlock in S tier. Of course, we got the Chanimal. Chanimal's probably the best Warlock in the world, to be honest. Even in today's world. And Mage, so Mage S tier. There you go. Mage I was just curious where Mage was. It still had it as S tier. Wait.
Warlock, so that's the only reason why I would put it in a tier below. But you are pretty mana efficient with Evocate. You have a mana gem. You are able to go off and eat Mage. And then in the B tier, you have the Hunter and the Shadow Priest. Both these classes are very good. I think the BM Hunter early on in the expansion will be very, very strong because it's just so much damage. If you check out Bean and watch him play his BM Hunter, they crank. They also can be very effective with a dampener playstyle using.
I know Bean. I know this guy.
Mana Drain or a Viper Sting, which is very, very popular playstyle with like double healer and also playing with a priest in 2.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing that's really interesting in Burning Crusade is mana is a real thing. Like managing your mana pool is huge because you just don't have that much mana. So Viper Sting is huge. Mana burn on priests. I think priests have mana burn is really, really good. So very, very strong. If I'm like playing a Disc Priest in an arena match and I get off even just 2 mana burns, it can just win the match for us because the other healer is just going to faster than I'm going to So. But yeah, the mana burn on the Hunters. I always remember playing against Hunters. It was really annoying because as a priest, I always had to make sure that I had to avoid getting hit with the Viper Sting, and it definitely was something you always had to be aware of. So, but yeah, I think Hunter, like, he's got Hunter in the B tier. I agree with that. I agree with that. It's almost kind of like I feel like Hunter is better than Shadow Priest a little bit to me, but I don't know.
So much damage if you check out Bean and watch him play his BM Hunter. Shadow Priest is a really fun class to play with, I would say, because you have Dispel, you have a Purge.
Yeah.
I've played with the Shadow Priest as a warrior. You'll see Shadow Priest Rogue. You can see even in 3s Shadow Priest Rogue Mage because you do offer a lot of healing.
Felt like you do,
and then you can also play Shadow Play like we talked about with the Warlock and like a Resto Shaman with Bloodlust. The only weakness
like Shadow Play is good, but the weakness for the Shadow Priest, I always felt like Shadow Priest is just too squishy. But if you are playing with the Warlock, you're doing Shadow Play. That is very strong.
the Shadow Priest, outside of the fact that it has that Dispel, that Purge, that instant CC with Silence, is that you run out of mana. Once that Fiend is gone and you run out of mana.
Yes, you run out of mana a lot. I remember that. As a Shadow Priest, you definitely have mana issues.
It's kind of GG, whereas some of these other classes can kind of still cycle through mana or still deal damage outside of being whereas the Shadow Priest can't really do that. So that's the only weakness with the Shadow Priest. Honestly, if it didn't have mana issues and it did have a life tap, it would be a really good caster. But yeah, mana is something that you have to keep in mind. All of these classes are fun. All of these classes you should consider playing. It's just something to keep in mind when you are picking your class, trying to figure out where it's at. The other niche casters are going to be the Ellie and the Balance Druid. You don't really see these in Arena.
No,
Ellie cranks if it can get a cast off. You've seen weird specs with Druids as well, like hybrid specs as rank.
I think that's another thing that's really cool that he says hybrid. Another thing that's really cool in the Burning Crusade PvP arena is that you can actually run hybrid specs. I used to run a Disc Priest build where I actually had Mind Flay, because we would run into a lot, because I was running Disc Priest Rogue in 2s, right? And a lot of times we run into teams where I don't remember if Enhance was good or not. I kind of think probably it was garbage, to be honest. I don't think Enhancement in the earlier days of WoW was very good. But I would run like a hybrid spec where my Disc Priest actually had Mind Flay, and it was just a way to slow down people to get the kill. Because a lot of times we'd be going up against teams with a healer, and we'd have the healer really low, and then they it was a lot of times it was a druid. Druid healers were super common in Burning Crusade, and they would shift. They would be running away, but if I had Mind Flay, I could just get off a couple Mind Flays and kind of slow them down so my rogue could catch up and get the kill. That actually was pretty useful. I guess he doesn't talk about Enhance.
Just not as popular. You can have a ton of fun in BGs. Shamans do really good in raid as well. So if you are raiding, you want to get into arena, you can definitely pick that up. It's just they're not on the same level as these classes. And when it comes to a game where you pick your arena teammate,
I mean, he's not even talking about Enhance, so it can't be that good.
And you have an arena team, you may have a bit less enjoyable time finding arena teams as one of these classes. But it doesn't mean you can't do good. Doesn't mean they don't do a lot of damage. It's just easier to get damage off as some of these other classes. Some of these classes don't even have to cast, whereas in Ellie, you're just trying to sit there to get that big one shot off, and you may not get it out. Okay, just keep that in mind. Maybe in a different expansion. Ellie very good in Wrathful Lich King. Okay, now moving on to our healers. Probably the best healer in the game overall is the Resto Druid. The Restoration Druid is right now on the beta. I think it's bugged. Innervate makes the class very difficult to deal with because the Innervate just gives them a full mana bar, and it's like 200% mana regen instead of what it should be.
I always played Disc Priest in Burning Crusade, but I never played Druid. But I would be really tempted to level up our to do a Resto Druid for PvP in the Burning Crusade. It just looked like fun. The way that the class, the mechanics worked, it always looked way more fun than Priest. But I just always liked from like a fantasy point of view, like RP fantasy. I always just like the idea of the Priest. Priest being a healer. Just coming from playing Dungeons and Dragons when I was a kid, Priest was just so cool to me. So I went Priest, and I like Priest, and I think Priest is great. But if I had to go back in, if I wanted to heal in the Burning Crusade and PvP in Arena, I think I would 100% probably try out Resto Druid. I think it would just be fun.
Or 2,000% mana regen or something like that, or 200,000, just full mana bar instantly. For the Resto Druid, you put it on another target, you don't get as much value there. But the Restoration Druid has a lot of control. It actually has some pretty decent damage. You've seen things with like Dream State Druid, and you've seen Insect Swarm specs, and you have a lot of control, and you also have a very dampener playstyle if necessary. Having things like Entangling Roots and Cyclone, where not every healer can dispel Entangling Roots. Having that interrupt is also very, very good. Life Bloom does a ton of healing. Season 1, Resto Druid's not the best because it can fall over a little bit more easily, but again, if you play it well and you have Innervate on the beta right now, you just see Druids just never really ooming. I
was just gonna say before he said it there, the biggest difference, and he's saying that they're a little bit squishier, which they are, but the biggest difference between the Resto Druid and the Priest is the Resto Druid doesn't have mana issues like the Priest. If you're a Priest and you're going up against like a Hunter or another Priest, if you get like mana burned a couple times, or you get a couple Viper Stings on you, it could just end the match. I mean, you could just straight up lose because of mana. Whereas the Druid, they've got Innervate, they've got ways to get away with by shape-shifting into their cheetah, and they can just get off some drinks. They can get out of combat, get off a drink. It's a little bit easier. You know, night elves can kind of shadow meld and try to, but whatever. They can't drop combat with shadow meld though. Whereas the druid can just use his ability to kind of get away, and they're a little bit more slippery than most other healers as far as kind of getting away and getting off some drinks. But I think the mana issues for the druid is just so much better. You have so much easier time with your mana.
Their healer will and then the rest of the druid will pop. You're both are and then the rest of the druid will innervate himself and he's full mana, and it's kind of just GG at that point. But yeah, really great comp flexibility for twos. You can play with the warrior, you can play with the rogue, you can play with the hunter, you can play with the mage. And threes, you can play with, you know, lock, rogue, druid. You can play warlock, warrior, druid. You can play in almost any comp, and you can do very well. You can play RMD. I would say the only downside to the druid is that it takes a bit of time to really get going to where it's that killer that's very difficult to deal with. And if you're playing two, sometimes dealing with rogue mage can be pretty frustrating. But overall, I would say the druid is a very, very strong spec. Just have to keep in mind that although you can cleanse poisons, you can't cleanse magic. So if you're playing with a warrior and he gets novaed or rooted, you can't really do much. He's just stuck there. That's kind of the downside to the rest of druid, is that it's very good defensively, has a lot of control, but it doesn't have a magic dispel. Whereas the priest, in my opinion, honestly, I think this gap is a lot closer than people make it out to be. A lot of my friends have been telling me that the druid ends up being better. But even on a lot of the tournament realms and even on Endless, I feel like the priest just has a different playstyle where it's a much more aggressive healer.
More aggressive.
Does a lot of damage. It has PI. It has mana burn. It has magic dispel, so you can keep your teammates a lot.
Yeah, the priest, if you're like, the thing with the priest, the only thing that makes the druid better than the priest is just the mana. That's it. Priest can do more damage, can be more aggressive, can mass dispel like Ice Block, can mass dispel like Bubbles. The priest can basically end games very quickly by pulling off really cool moves. Like you can do double fears, triple fears, you know that kind of CC. The druid just doesn't have access to that. So, but the biggest weakness is the mana pool. You just have that big crutch of mana. But overall, like a really, really good priest, I think, is extremely dangerous in Arena.
More offensive, right? You can get them out of those novas. You can get them out of those sheeps. And you can have those fears, and you can really just run people down. The only issue with the priest is that you're susceptible to being trained relatively easily, and then you also will eventually run out of mana a little bit easier, and you're not as mobile. But you have that more offensive playstyle. Personally, if it was me, I'm more of a priest fan. I think it's a lot more fun to have that aggressive playstyle, and I think by being more aggressive, you have the trade-off of putting yourself in bad positions, and that's just part of the play.
And it's funny because traditionally, in pretty much all video games that I play, I always play a little bit more on the defensive. I always played more defensive. I've always been a defensive player, and I think it came from playing Unreal Tournament, where I was always the flag defender. I was always the person that defended the flag. I was very good at killing people, and I was also very good at not getting killed, because I've always been good at not getting killed. So I was always good at playing classes in MMOs where they're tanky, hard to kill. Like when I played rogues, I was extremely difficult to kill, but I wasn't always the most aggressive rogue. And so I think it's funny that I played priests, because I think the best priests play offensively, and I never was super offensive. And I think that's probably why even I only got to around 2000 in TBC, the original TBC Arena season, because I just don't think that I was as good at having that kind of offensive mindset. And looking back now, if I would have played Resto Druid, I bet I would have got a much higher Arena rating in the original Season 1 back in 2007, I think it was.
Playstyle. I don't think that makes it arguably worse. I think having an aggro playstyle, you have to have a weakness, otherwise you just run everyone over. So that's my opinion. I think this gap's really close. I think the Disc Priest and the Priest in general is a very, very strong class, and you'll see it a lot in twos with Disc Priest Rogue. You'll see Disc Priest Hunter. You'll see Disc Priest Mage, and in threes you'll see RMP. You'll see Rogue, Lock Priest. It's just put in the B tier because you do have
Lock Priest is really good too. Hunter Priest
more
is good.
comps.
Hunter Priest is amazingly. He didn't say Hunter Priest, but Hunter Priest is amazingly good because you're basically a drain team. Like the Hunter's got Viper Sting and you've got Mana Burn. So, I mean, I actually played Hunter Priest a little bit, and if you go up against any kind of, it's so easy to win twos as a Hunter Priest because you just basically mana burn their healer, right? The only problem you run into as Hunter Priest is if you go up against double DPS, you can get blown up pretty quick. You're relegated at that point to your Hunter to peel. But if you're going up against a healer team as a Hunter Priest, I mean, you can just annihilate them with mana burn.
Then the Holy Paladin. The Wrestler Shaman you can play with the Warrior and do pretty well. You can do people over specs and gen expansions, but there is some comp flexibility there, and you can have a lot of fun just playing a niche comp if you're interested in PvE or world content. I hope you guys enjoyed the video.
Yeah, so anyways, that's pretty interesting.
Doesn't limit it a whole lot yet, does it? FPC does not want to go the free-to-play route with microtransactions, and I'm fully on board with this. I think that if you want to compete with WoW, Final Fantasy XIV, or RuneScape, you're going to have to monetize like them. Not because the subscription model is perfect, but because free-to-play erodes and undermines the reward structure and progression systems that are so essential to a successful MMO. The 3 largest MMOs right now are sub-to-play for a reason. It just works for the genre. Another interesting note was that Fantastic Pixel was considering not having an auction house in-game. I'm definitely someone that prefers to collect my own gear and to collect my own ingredients as opposed to buying it on the auction house, but there's definitely a case to be made for having an auction house economy. There's a lot of players that really enjoy that type of stuff, so it would be really interesting to see them try to forgo that in this game. I've played games in the past like Lineage 2 where you actually had to sit there and set up a shop because they didn't have an auction house.
Yeah, not only did Lineage 2 where you have to set up your own shop, but in Lineage 2, you couldn't craft your... I mean, you were either a gatherer in Lineage 2 or a crafter. Like, you couldn't do both. You couldn't create a character that could gather materials and then craft something with those materials. So it was a really interesting system in Lineage 2. So you were always relegated to, you know, if you were a crafter of armor, then you would have to buy the materials from somebody. Or if you were a gatherer, you couldn't even make anything. You just basically were someone who gathered because you were making money off of it. And if you wanted craftable gear, you'd have to ask somebody else to craft it for you. So, or you just had alts. You know, you had an alt, which is what most people would do. You'd create 2 characters. But the thing is, Lineage 2, which was just slow leveling grind, the fastest player to get to max level in Lineage 2 in the original release of the game took 6 months, and that was the fastest person. Took them 6 months to get to max level. So trying to create an alt and level an alt up to a high enough level along with your main is very, very time consuming.
Or you had to yell in zone chat, and both of those seem like a real step backwards compared to what we have now, so I'm really interested to see where they go with this. Ghost is looking to have a hybrid tab target / action combat system, so it's going to sit somewhere in the middle, so we'll have to see what that means. I love a lot about this game, but it's also got some parts that I'm worried about. The shard system has it sounding a lot more like a lobby-based multiplayer game than an MMO, which might also be fun in its own way, but might not provide the traditional MMO experience that a lot of players are looking for in this game. Now, perhaps the most important bit of information. When will this game be released? Ghostcrawler said that MMOs typically take 5 to 10 years, but he's hoping that Fantastic Pixel Castle gets to make Ghost in 4 to 6 years, which means they are probably still about 3 to 5 years out from releasing this game. And by the way, guys, if you're enjoying this video, be sure to like and subscribe to be kept up to date on all the latest MMO news. Next, we have one of the most interesting MMOs on this list, and that's going to be ZOS's new MMO. If it's anything like their previous MMO, it's going to come to PC and console. ZeniMax Online Studios are the developers of Elder Scrolls Online, and they're working on what appears to be an MMO. I feel like I've been reporting on this one for half of my life, and we still don't have a lot of information as it's been kept really close to the vest by ZOS. Here's what we know so far. Ben Jones was hired in 2018 to be the creative director of a still unannounced project at ZeniMax Online Studios. Ben previously worked on titles like Battlefield 4, but perhaps most interestingly is he left Battlefield 4 to start Fugitive Games, where they leveraged a successful Kickstarter to build Into the Stars. Into the Stars was apparently one of the first games to ship using Unreal Engine 4. After finishing that game, he went on to work on a zombie survival game before beginning what he calls the most exciting and unique opportunity of his career at ZeniMax Online. The lead level designer, Colin Campbell, worked on games like Mass Effect Andromeda, Star Wars Battlefront 2, and Jedi Fallen Order. So perhaps we can use a little bit of his past work experience to decipher what they're working on now. We also know that ZeniMax has put out posts asking for people with experience building all types of MMO systems. They're describing their game that they're building as massive, and it will utilize what they've learned from creating ESO.
They are cool.
They also say that it's a new IP, so it's not going to be ESO or ESO 2 by the sounds of it. And they also said that they're making and using their own in-house engine, so it's not going to be another UE5 MMO.
Sounds like it's
on their hiring page, they had a position for a vehicle specialist, so it seems like the game will take place in an era where vehicles of some sort do exist, which lines up with
I think it's going to be a sci-fi MMO.
with my comments about the art director who previously specialized in futuristic space games. There were also rumors a while back that ZOS was working on some kind of Star Wars project, but those were whispers in the wind, and we've had no way to verify that they had any sort of legitimacy. What we do know is that ZeniMax Online Studios, the maker of Elder Scrolls Online, has been working on a new unannounced project since at least 2018, and it was confirmed in 2019 by Matt Furr. That's about it. They recently reiterated that they've got over 200 people working on the game spread all over the world, with a team of 50 working directly under the game director, Ben Jones. They have described it as grand and massive and benefiting from their experience making ESO, and the game will have vehicles. They've hired people with experience with space-themed things, and rumor mills are suggesting something space-related. They're now 7 years into development, so we can expect some kind of announcement in the not-too-distant future, unless they're running into some trouble with the development, which wouldn't be surprising given that's what's happened to every other major studio that's working on an MMO right now. I'm curious how these games will do when they hit the market. Where will they rank among the existing MMOs? And if you want to see the current MMOs ranked by their player base size, click the video popping up in the top right corner of the screen right now, or in the description below. What do you think? Which upcoming MMO do you think has the best chance to do something great? Which one do you think has the best chance to fail? Let me know. Massive shout out to my YouTube channel members for supporting the channel so that I can...
Well, I mean, just looking at this video, I still think that the Horizon, the Riot MMO and the Horizon MMOs, I think are the most interesting. I don't really think the Fantastic Pixel Castle is going to be, Dune Awakening I think will be fun, because it's going to be, I think Dune Awakening looks pretty cool, and it's coming out next year, so that's cool. Project LLL I think also looks interesting, but it's a sci-fi based one. Lord of the Rings MMO, I don't really have a lot of faith that that'll be great, but it is being made by the people who made New World, so I think the world, at least at the very least, will be a cool world to be within. ArcH 2, I don't have a lot of faith in ArcH 2, and I think that was it, right? Yeah. So the Horizon Online, Ashes of Creation, don't have a lot of faith in that. League of Legends MMO, I think that could be good. Yeah, that's it. Now there's another video. That was that video. Then there was this one. Another video I found today, which this came out a month ago though. The top 20 new most insane MMOs coming out in 2024. And this first one looked really cool. I liked this first one. Check this out.
Breathe in the air. Savor the hunt. But do not relax. For when death bears its fangs, you must face the inevitable. Let go of your pride. What nature gives, it can easily take back. And when the opportunity arises, you must seize it.
The air is thick with blood. Allegiances have been tested. Those who remain stand no chance. In the wake of defeat, when your legacy lies in ruins, steel yourself. The enemy stands at the door. Only courage remains. There is no other choice. You must protect your house.
called Block Lords. So I hadn't seen this video before, but it's got some just New World Eternum. So this is the, I guess this is New World. Arc Age Chronicles, Unreal Engine 5. Yeah, I don't have anything to. Legend of Ymir, Unreal Engine. Man, a lot of Unreal Engine 5 games. I think this is really, I think that's Arc Age 2. Legend of Ymir. Cool spell animation. That was a pretty cool looking enemy. Did you see that dude she was fighting? Look at his face. His eyes are kind of like, yeah, dude. He's charging her, but he's looking that way. You looking at me, or you're looking at the snack machine. I think that was like their take. That had to be their take on Murlocs, right? Yeah, this game. I mean, it looks cool, but yeah, I don't know. PC game, so Night Crows. Night Crows. You know, it's like every game looks good now, like graphically. Like games just all look good now. Thanks to Unreal Engine 5. I mean, Odyssey, this world looks fantastic. Not really a big fan of, you know, hot air balloons, though. But man, the lighting is fantastic. The terrain looks really good. That looks great. Yeah, the graphics look fantastic. That's a big sword he's got. Is this? It's called Night Crows, but it almost reminds me of Crimson Desert. He's too floaty on those jumps. Get some ion wings. I'm not sure what's going on with the hot air balloons, though. That looks so like an NC Soft game. A lot of these assets look like they're reused from another game. I don't think that one's going to be too successful. Of course, there's Chrono Odyssey. You guys probably have seen this one before. This game actually looks pretty interesting, but who knows if it'll ever come out. Apparently everybody does the same horse scene. You gotta have a horse riding offset camera. Very Souls-like. So Chrono Odyssey, I've seen this video before. It looks interesting. Whether or not it'll be good, I have no idea. This next one, Bellator's, I think looks even more interesting. This one. We have so little though. The Bellatories. Yeah, they do. They look very similar. They look very similar. Well, and the armor, like the armor looks the same. This one, the graphics on this one actually look worse than the other one.
Planets. Hunt
Dune.
or yield to it.
Soulframe. Okay, this one, Light No Fire. This one, I think I've heard of this one. Let's take this is a proprietary game engine. I always kind of get excited when it's proprietary, I think, because it basically means they're not, they're developing their own game engine, which a lot of times means that the game runs smoother. Because if you're running a game on your own engine, then you really know how that engine works. So a lot of times those, like, perfect example, World of Warcraft was their own game. They built their own game engine. Another game would be like No Man's Sky. Games that build their own game engine to run their game, a lot of times they run really well because they wrote the code for it. This looks really cool, actually. I like games like this that are kind of unusual. He's playing on the hummingbird. My wife will like that. She loves hummingbirds. These creatures look really cool, actually. And their water system's nice. Looks more like a kid's, geared more towards a younger crowd, I would say. Okay, I think we've seen enough of that. I see a lot of just characters walking around. I haven't seen like any combat or anything. Although, did you look at the character sitting in the chair to the left here? Right here. That's a pretty cool looking character, this guy in the chair. Or sitting on the steps. He's a neat looking character. Yeah, we haven't seen any combat though. That reminds me of the No Man's Sky logo. Oh, that's because these are the guys who made No Man's Sky. Yeah, that's why it looks like that. This is the people that made. Yeah, this is why this looks so cool. So these are from Hello Game Studios. Yeah, I'm actually really interested in this game. I think this game, because I do think No Man's Sky is a pretty good game now. But I do like Sean Murray. I think that the game engine, that he created is a pretty good game engine. So I think this game looks pretty interesting. Jimmy, look at this one. This is Project E. Probably. Actually, here's the funny part about No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky got so much bad publicity saying that he promised all this shit. He really never did. Like, I always laugh because all the people that bought No Man's Sky and bought into what they thought the game was, he never said it was all those things. The only time he ever really misled anybody was the only time he misled them was that he misled people to believe that it was a multiplayer game. because they said, "Oh, you'll be able to play with your friends," and he said yes. And that's because at the time that they planned on it being a multiplayer game, but they just didn't have enough time to get that into the final version. So of course they later kind of tried to fix it, but people all jump to conclusions. You as a buyer of video games have to have half a brain, right? And the people that thought No Man's Sky was going to do all this shit were just stupid. So really it was the consumer's fault more than it was Sean Murray's fault. So I always felt like he got a bad rap, and I always felt like No Man's Sky got a way bad rap that they did not deserve. Because if you watch all the interviews, in which I watched most of the interviews with Sean Murray, most of the big ones, he wasn't saying what everybody said he was saying. He wasn't saying, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and this is the greatest game ever. He never said any of that. The only thing he ever said that was misleading is when they asked him if you could play with your friends in the game, and he said yes. That was it. So, and now he did say there was going to be all these cool systems, but he wasn't specific. He didn't say, well, it's going to exactly have this, or it's going to exactly have that. He never committed to any of that. There was no written in stone anything, really. It was like a blank piece of paper, and people, since they saw the demos, which looked really cool, jumped to all these conclusions of what they thought the game was going to be, and when it wasn't what they thought it was going to be, they blamed Hello Games, which really wasn't fair because you that was your fault for basically dreaming all this shit up in your head and then thinking it was going to be there. So it was really the consumer's fault. There was that one video though that was great. I don't know if I'll be able to find it. Oh, yeah. See, now, I will say, though, that this is what caused No Man's Sky a lot of problems. Because this was their E3 trailer, right? Watch this.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
This is why No Man's Sky got a lot of bad rap.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
So basically, in the trailer, they show what the game could look like. Now, they never said this is exactly what it's going to look like. They're just like, this is what the game could look like. And it looked great. You're like, oh man, this looks amazing. And then when people actually bought the game, played the game, and they went into the game, it looked like this. And it's because this is all procedural generation. So the way he tweaked these creatures was based on just, random, parameters saying, oh, it could have this type of head or it could have this type of leg. And so unfortunately, the procedural generation wasn't tweaked enough to where they made sure, because, they just needed to tweak the procedural generation to make sure that it leaned itself towards creating worlds that looked more like this than worlds that looked more like this. So, and people, again, but this is you as a consumer. Like, I don't think he said, I'm not sure if he ever said, well, all the world's going to look like this. I think he just said they could look like this. So I do think it was kind of a bait and switch. So I will say that. I mean, because this is like, oh, this looks great. And then you play the game and it looks like this. So I definitely agree that there's an issue here. But there was a lot of things where people kind of read too much into what he said and tried to make up their own decisions on what the game was going to be, which wasn't what it was. So, but you have to give No Man's Sky, you have to give Hello Games tons of credit because they fixed almost all their issues. Not only that, they went above and beyond and continue to add tons and tons of content into that game for free. They're not charging you anything for that stuff. This, No Man's Sky has been updated so many times for free. Whereas most MMOs, they start charging you for that extra content. But I do think that I am super excited for Light No Fire. I think this game looks pretty cool. I'm excited for Light No Fire. Now, whether or not it's going to be good, I don't know. I think that the potential for it to be a good game is definitely there. This game, I don't even know. This is like Project E. Yeah, This doesn't look like anything I'd want to play. I have no idea what this game is. So we're playing with Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon now. The game obviously doesn't look like this. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what that is? Arc 2. I never played Arc 1 that much. Path of Exile 2. I never really. Yeah, no desire to play an isometric game. Plan 8. No, thank you. Doesn't really look good. And then this one's in there in our other video. Was it? Yeah, so that's fine. Oh, and then PAX Day. I actually forgot all about PAX Day. It's been so long since we've seen anything from PAX Day. I thought PAX Day. I thought the developers behind PAX Day, like the methodology of what they were trying to do with PAX Day, I really liked. But the delivery of what they came up with, I wasn't real happy with. So I just felt like they overpromised and underdelivered. But again, it was still in like early development, so who knows? I just don't think that PAX Day is the game that I kind of wanted it to be. But I definitely will still be keeping an eye on it. But you know, the early access that I saw footage of, wasn't really that impressive. I didn't think the graphics looked that good either. You can see the character models. Like the character models, I mean, look really bland. Like look how these characters, like there's no detail on the skin or anything. They look just like, you know, look at these faces. See how there's like no detail on the face. There's no detail in the hair. Even the clothing and the armor is very bland. You know, so it just looks like a game that's, you know, that's rushed. That it's not even close to being finished. And they try to hide it with all this lighting and stuff, but every time you see it close above a character's face, it just looks really bad. Like, you know, these faces again. Look at this face. I'm sorry, but what is this? What is this face? Is it like a zombie? And what is this? Is these rolls of fat here? I just, you know, it doesn't look good. But PAX Day is a building game, and I do love building games. Yeah, but again, you can see the real, you know, you can see how the character models don't look that great. And the problem I have with that, the biggest problem I have with that is if you're going to have a world that looks really good, the character models also have to look good, because if they don't, it just looks disjointed. It looks like the character models were created in a completely different game. Like if you look at these faces, like these eyes on this male look like almost the same eyes as on the female. It doesn't look good. This cloth dynamics does not look good. You know, this folded cloth looks so fake. It just doesn't look good. Did you see all the pop-in? Watch this. Watch all the pop-in that's going on here. See how why is this pop-in occurring? anyways, I thought that was an interesting video. So my point being, we've got, Classic WoW Fresh coming out, and we can play Classic WoW Fresh for probably 2 or 3 years straight. But I do think that hopefully, over that time, we are going to get some games that come out that might be worth playing. We hope, right? And how long have we all been waiting for like the next big MMO that's actually going to be worth really sinking our teeth into? And I don't know about you guys, but I've been waiting a hell of a long time. So I keep hoping that we'll see something before I'm in the grave, because I'm not getting any younger. But anyways, we got Thursday. I'm still like, this video I started because it's basically called "What server should I play on?" I think, oh man, it's tough. It's like, do I want to do hardcore or do I want to do the PvP realm? I think the one thing I could say is that if I wanted to go on the PvP realm and really progress at any kind of speed, I probably would want to just play there first, because the hardcore realm doesn't progress into the Burning Crusade. So I don't know if the population on the hardcore realm is going to die really quick because of the fact that it doesn't progress to the Burning Crusade. I would kind of feel like it wouldn't. The only thing that killed oh my god, I can't talk. The only thing that killed the population on the old PvP server that I was on Skullrock was with the release of Season of Discovery. When Season of Discovery was released, it really killed Skullrock's population. I don't think people are that enthused about Season of Discovery anymore. I do think that Blizzard is working currently on Classic Plus, so I feel like Blizzard keeps shooting themselves in the foot to some degree, and that they keep like basically my brain just isn't working right out, guys. I apologize. They keep segmenting the player base. They keep fragmenting the player base. Before they even get done with a plan. Like, we look at for the fresh service coming out this Thursday, and they're going to be going on for 3 years, probably at least 2 years at a minimum. But there's no way that Blizzard lets these servers go for 2 years without putting out something else that has the potential to fragment the player base. Whether that's a Classic Plus server, whether it's some sort of other new server we're not even aware of, or whether it's like, just the War Within, expand the second expansion of that. All these things keep fragmenting the player base. So I just wish Blizzard would kind of put the pause on that stuff and say, hey, if we're going to release fresh classic realms, let's not release anything else until these have lived out their timeline. I don't have a problem with you releasing the the War Within second expansion, just simply because that's retail, and I still consider retail and classic to be completely different games. So I'm fine with content progressing on those two fronts, but I don't like classic having like different versions of classic being released all the time. It's just stupid. You're gonna release like a hardcore server, then you're gonna release like a Season of Discovery, and then we're gonna release like Mist of Pandaria. Like, for example, Mist of Pandaria is something that could hurt these progression servers. I don't know how much it could hurt them, but we know that Mist of Pandaria is going to be coming out, I think, at the end. I think it's next year, though. Actually, I think it's like 3 or 4 months, like maybe a spring of next year. Or hold on a second. Let me bring up that timeline again. Oh, I gotta probably get to bed because my voice is getting a little bit tired. So you can see here that Mist of Pandaria is coming out in the spring. So you're gonna release classic realms. I'm calling them classic, right? Yeah, but no, it's not. It's not in the middle of next year. Well, it is. It's in spring. So I was right. Spring. What is spring? January, February. Spring is like March, April, right? Like March, April time frame. So only like 5 months from now, 5-6 months from now. But what I'm saying is this is going to fragment this player base, because a lot of people will jump off of classic for the fresh realms to go play Mist of Pandaria classic. They just will, especially the PvP players. I would imagine the PvP server would lose a lot of people, because the PvP in Mist of Pandaria was actually pretty good. Like, from a PvP point of view, it was a good expansion. So I would imagine that the PvP servers probably lose a pretty good amount of players. So What I like, and the other thing to consider is the classes I play don't really lend themselves well to PvP. Like I play Protection Paladin a lot. Well, Protection Paladin isn't a good PvP class. I play Melee Hunter a lot. Melee Hunter is not a good PvP class. So if I'm going to play Protection Paladin or Melee Hunter, then rolling on the PvP fresh server doesn't really make a lot of sense, right? I mean, what am I going to get done? I can't really PvP that well with either of those classes. So now I'm kind of leaning that, if I'm going to play one of those classes, then it's probably better off to play on the hardcore realm, to be honest. So what I could do is focus on the hardcore realm and then maybe like put like 80% of my attention on the hardcore realm and then maybe put like 20% of my attention on the PvP realm. And if I do go on the PvP realm, probably what I would play on the PvP realm would be probably a hunter, because I actually do enjoy PvP on the hunter. I think BM Hunter is actually really strong in PvP. Plus, it's just a brain dead. It's very easy to play. I mean, we can roll with a survival BM build too. We could definitely have like, deterrence and some stuff that's going to make survival make BM pretty viable for PvP. Marksman, I think, is because let's face it, when you're getting ganked in the open world in PvP, it's going to be a rogue. You're going to be getting hit by rogues and feral druids, and so if you can't handle a rogue and a feral druid, then you're going to struggle. You're also going to be get attacked by shadow priests and ret paladins. You're going elemental. Oh, so you're going to ding dong. So you're going to dual spec, right? They did say they were going to have dual spec. They didn't say that it was going to be in right. They said it wasn't going to be in right away. So I wonder how long we're going to have to wait. Elemental is very strong. Like, I mean, the one shot. I mean, Ellie can hit really hard in vanilla, I think. I don't really play Ellie that much. I don't play Shaman that much, but I think now when you say Ellie Resto, are you saying Elemental Shaman Resto Shaman, or Elemental Shaman Resto Druid? What is the healer, the Shaman? Let's see, vanilla, wow, talent calculator. It is called Restoration. So you're talking Resto Shaman. I do not play Shaman. Shaman is the class I know the least out of every class. So, okay, I gotcha. Yeah, I think Shaman seems like it's a really. I think what's really cool about Shaman, I know that enhancement leveling on Shaman is by far the fastest, if you're just like leveling. But I think Shaman's one of those classes that has a lot of. There's a lot of really cool hybrid builds. I think it's one of those, it's just like a Paladin. Paladin's got a lot, but I think Shamans, with their totems and everything, they're definitely a really, really interesting class. The most I've ever played Shaman was fairly recently, actually. I played, let's see if I don't know if I have it on this character, on this account. Usually a priest player, played Shaman and Wrath Lich King, loved it. Yeah, I just have a hard time with totems. I don't like dealing with totems. That's why I don't play Shamans. I don't like managing totems. That was my biggest thing with Shamans. But let me jump over to Deviate to Light and see if I have 2 WoW accounts. Yeah, so here is the most recent time I played a Shaman in vanilla WoW, and it was in let's see, let's get rid of this. Add-ons. Let's get rid of this one. Yeah. Yeah, I use Reshade, yeah, for sure. But you can see here, I have a Shaman. I don't really remember all my keybinds because I haven't played this character in months. But I mean, what I don't like about Shamans is the totems. They're like totem, 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 totem. I mean, that's a lot of fucking totems, right? And there's this totem. This totem. And it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 totems. 8 totems. 8 totems. That's why I don't play Shamans, because I don't like having too many keybinds, and with Shamans you just end up with a lot of shit, man. But I did enjoy playing this Shaman. I thought she was pretty fun, and definitely definitely did a lot of damage. Like, well, you know, I was doing, you know, I did dungeons and stuff. I actually tanked. What I was doing, Ding Dong, was I was actually tanking. I was actually tanking on this character, and shamans can actually tank. There's a guide I was doing. I don't know if I put it on my Discord. God, it's been a while since I looked at it, but I found a guide on how to tank with the shaman. It was really good. Don't know. Let's see. I don't know if I saved it. Normally, if I'm following like a really interesting guide, I'll usually save it. Don't know if I saved it. I'm just looking to see if I did. Doesn't look like I did. Look at all this information that I saved just for, yeah. Here's an interesting guide I found on Melee Hunter, and I've been playing Melee Hunter a ton, and I actually saved all of this into my Discord server, into a private channel, just so I had, because this guy had some interesting information that he used. Anyways. Remove, what'd you say? Remove fishing and put a totem in there. Yeah, well, I mean, you've got, I mean, if I look at my possible buttons I can click on my shaman, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, you know, 22. I got about 23 skills. I have quite a few. Yeah, quite a few. Oh yeah, right. Yeah, whatever, fishing, but I got quite a few skills here. But yeah, Shaman's really cool. I mean, I like Shaman. I think Shaman's fun. I just wasn't a fan. I don't like managing the totems for whatever reason. But let's go to Vanilla WoW Shaman Tanking Guide. I want to see if I can find this really quick, because I found one. It might have been one of these. Let's see. Wasn't that one? Same person. It was this one. Oh yeah, apparently this one just keeps coming up. This one's cool because he actually had videos too. But this guy, this Caperfin, who apparently is a pretty well-known shaman. But yeah, this guy put together a guide on how to tank as a shaman, and it was actually pretty interesting. I think it was pretty valid. I think what he was saying made a lot of sense. So yeah. Yeah, well, I didn't like Season Discovery. Not a fan of Season Discovery. But so I don't. It's tough. I want to play on the hardcore server. I want to play on the PvP server. But if I play 2 servers at once, it's going to slow down my leveling. You know what I mean? Wild Tavern's hiring. They should hire me, man. I could use a second job. So I'm really struggling on if I'm going to play. I'm really struggling on what to play and what server to play. You know, it would be. I would say it would be fun to play Horde on the PvP server. I should play. Oh yeah, should I? I would be. It would be interesting to play Horde, but I don't play Horde. I hardly ever play Horde. But playing Horde could be something new and kind of fun. We could get into that stupid lame ass guild. Only Fangs. Am I playing the War? No, I don't play Warcraft 2. No, I don't play. I don't play any like isometric games or click to move games or RTS strategy games anymore, man. I only play like MMOs, and if I can, I like to play like action combat based stuff. But I could get into what, Warcraft Tavern? I don't know, man. What Warcraft Tavern? On the home. You found me randomly on YouTube a year or so ago. Am I a melee hunter? You want to play fresh classic hardcore? What's the top 3 guy? Well, I mean, top 3 classes in what way? Are you saying like the top 3 classes for fun, top 3 classes for damage, top 3 most played classes? I mean, you'd have to give me some more information. I definitely feel like warrior definitely is going to be a very popular class on hardcore. Yeah, fun OP. Well, warrior is always OP in vanilla. I would say warrior rogue. Rogue and warrior are definitely going to be up there. Priest. I mean, as far as fun for hardcore, I think hunter's really fun. I think warrior's super fun. Yeah, warrior. I'm trying to think what other classes for hardcore. I would probably say warrior, hunter, mage. Those 3 I would list as probably the most fun. You have a lot of flexibility. You can do a lot of damage. You have a lot of survivability. You know, I think Locke is one of those classes that's kind of a trap class. And what I mean by that is, on the surface, it seems really great. It seems like you've got a pet, but you can do all this damage, and you can. And locks are great, but people die on locks. Like, once your pet's gone, you are so squishy. Lock is one of the more difficult classes to level to 60 in hardcore. So it's if you're looking for a challenge of leveling a character to 60 in hardcore, warrior is going to be the most difficult, but lock isn't. Lock's also quite difficult. But yeah, I mean, lock definitely is fun. I mean, it's a good class. Hunter is like way easier. Hunter's a much easier class to play than lock. So, you'll hear of max level. Yeah. I mean, rogue's good too. Rogue's great. Like I said, rogue's fun. I mean, all the classes. Let's be honest. The reason classic World of Warcraft is so popular is because really every class is fun. I don't think there's a class in WoW that isn't fun. I mean, I love all the classes. I don't play druids a lot because I'm lazy and I don't like having to do all the druid class quests sometimes. And I think that feral druid, it's easy to play feral and be pretty and have fun with it, but to play it at like a top tier level for like raiding takes a little bit more skill. But I do think feral is really, really fun. Feral gives you a lot of, when you're leveling, you have some nice things, some speed increases, obviously shape shifting, gathering while in shape-shifted form is really nice. If you're like an herbalist, stealth, being able to stealth is obviously very, very nice. So I think like priest, I would say that leveling a priest can be a little boring if you're like a healer, Recap best 3 OP classes. Well, I mean, warrior's definitely very strong. Warrior does a lot of damage. It's got a lot of utility. I mean, there's you have fear, you've got charge, but you do a lot of damage. I don't know if warrior's a good class, but you're incredibly squishy. Yeah. Priest leveling is just very boring because it's a lot of you're right. It's just a lot of wanding. I mean, it's consistent. Like you level pretty fast. It's not like a slowest leveling class, but it's not the most exciting. I would even say the hunter can be kind of boring to a certain degree. I like melee hunter because melee hunter's a little bit more dynamic. If you're just playing like a marksman hunter, it can be a little boring because you're just send pet, shoot, press a few buttons. After like 20 hours of doing that, it can get a little bit boring. I think warlock's a lot less boring in that regard. I need to turn my mic up. Really? Hang on 1 second. Is anybody else having a hard time hearing my mic? Why is that mic mute on? That's weird. Let's turn it up, man. All right. Is that better? That should be better. That should be better. Sorry about that. Yeah, but I think the warrior is really really strong. Rogue is very strong. Mage is very strong. Warlock is strong. I mean classes. If I'm trying to think classes that are weak, I mean shaman. I don't want to say shaman's weak, but shaman's pretty strong too. Actually, I mean, when I was leveling the enhancement shaman, I was hitting pretty hard. So shaman's very strong. What other classes are we forgetting here? You've got paladins. Paladins are paladins are strong too. I mean, retribution hits pretty hard. I mean, I think all the classes are pretty good. I mean, I play melee hunter, which is definitely in hardcore can be pretty challenging, and you start off if you're playing like straight up. I mean, when you're playing melee hunter, you got to level from 1 to 10 without your pet, without using ranged ability. So that definitely is a real pain in the butt. But I've done it enough times that I can, I fly through it pretty quick. Yeah, no, mage is very good. Mage is very good. Yeah, I mean, hunter's a little bit slow. Hunter's like slow. I mean, obviously level 1 to 10 slow because you don't have your pet. Feral druid is slow in the beginning, but once you get cat form and you kind of get your mojo going like around like level 25, 26, you start to get into this rotation where you can kill like 3 or 4 mobs and then you drink and then you kill 3 or 4 mobs, or not really drink, you just heal. Kill 3 or 4 mobs, healing touch, kill 3 or 4 mobs, healing touch. It's pretty easy just to go through, but you can level incredibly fast on hunter. Especially like what I like to do on the hunter too is if I'm trying to level quick, I like to just grind mobs. I mean, I'll find areas where I can just kill mobs over and over again on hunter, and I can actually level quite quick just by grinding mobs because you can take them down pretty fast with your pet and with your ranged abilities. What are some weird unique challenges to try in classic that are for the glory of the challenges? Like, I mean, whether you can, it's just whatever you want to do. I mean, I would say one of the most difficult ones would be melee hunter no pet. That would be like insanely challenging. Trying to level to 60 in hardcore as a melee hunter with no pet, or you could do hardcore melee hunter, hardcore pet. So meaning like you get one pet, and if he dies, you can't have another one. Or you can do hardcore hunter with one pet life, meaning that like when you get a pet, if he dies, you have to go get a different pet. That way each pet you have is mortal as well as you being mortal. There's bloodbath where you just level by only killing mobs, not doing any quests. One of the most difficult ones that one guy almost achieved was basically leveling all the way to 60 without taking any damage. I mean, I'm not kidding here. And he did it on a mage, and so by not taking any damage, he absorbed all the damage with his mage shield. And the guy got to like level 58, I think, before he took a single point of damage. That was one of the most hardcore things I'd ever seen. Yeah, that is insane. It's incredibly crazy. Good name for a hunter who has that challenge. I think it's called the one where you only have it's just called hardcore hunter, hardcore pet, I think. Where if your pet dies, you have to get a different one. But there's the and then there's like ones you can do like on, for example, like a warrior, where you can do it on any class where it's basically they have the single self found where you can only use gear that you get it from quests or get from monsters, but you can't use the auction house, can't buy anything from the auction house. I mean, to me, the most challenging is the single self found where you don't, no grouping, no dungeons. Like you level well, the old hardcore community add-on used to have them, right? Here, hold on a second. Let's see if the site's still up. I mean, some of these I'm just making up, but a lot of these are pre-existing ones. I'm not sure what this is. Live spirits. They used to have them all on the website here, but it doesn't look like they have them anymore. But yeah, the hardcore add-on used to have a bunch of them. You know, the old community add-on had them. I think it still works. I mean, if we like try to install the add-on, you could probably like see. Let's see. WoW add-on. Yeah, but there was there were a bunch of them.
Guys, I'm back with another video. My challenges that I fields. I would also let's travel form, do arcane spells.
I know there was just I can't find it, but there was a bunch of them. I mean, well, yeah, but I'm trying to find. Did you find the list? I'm trying to find the list of the actual challenges. Yeah, in the game it'll probably show. Yeah, if you download it and install it. But yeah, there's a bunch of them. There's stuff like called Bloodbath, where you just level all the way to 60 without doing any quests. You just kill mobs. There's like the Hunter one with like, no pet. There's Hunter no pet. There's just different ones. There's probably like 30 or 40. There's challenges where you can only you have to level 1 to 60 on only one continent. It's like finish the hardcore challenge, only leveling on the continent in which your character race starts. So if you're a night elf, you could only level on Kalimdor. There's hardcore challenges that say never use a flight path. You never use a flight path. Never use your Hearthstone. There's all kinds of different ones that people have come up with. But if you're talking about what's if you're talking about doing like a challenge that's difficult, if you want to do one that's difficult, as I would say, basically the single self-found hardcore challenge where, and you could do the original Iron Man one. So the original Iron Man, what Iron Man was, is that you had to level from 1 to 60 with the gear you started the game with. So the gear that you have at level 1, that you have when your character's created, you have to level all the way to 60 with just that gear. And then there's even some people in Iron Man would say that you couldn't even use your talents, which I think is stupid, because the coolest part about leveling is your talents. I mean, you being able to try different builds. So, but if you want to do a difficult challenge, I would say do a challenge where you can't group with other players, you can't use the auction house, can't use the mail system, and you have to level 1 to 60 with the gear you started the game with. But you can use talents, but you're okay to use talents, but you have to level 1 to 60 with the gear you started with. So, to me, that would be a pretty, hardcore challenge. So, anyways, guys, I gotta get to bed. I'm getting tired. I have this awful canker sore in my mouth, and it hurts like hell. But I am gonna probably play on the hardcore realm. I do want to play on the PvP realm as well. I did do the poll on my site saying, should I play on the PvE classic realm, the PvP, or the hardcore? And you can see the PvE realm won out, which is probably the one I want to play out the least. But it was curious to see what people thought. I'm surprised that so many people voted for me to play on the PvE realm. And then when I asked what class should I play the Fury Warrior, the Protection Paladin, or the Melee Hunter? And actually, the Protection Paladin won out just barely over the Melee Hunter, and only 39 votes though. Anyway, but even with those polls are more just for fun, because I tend to not always listen to people. I'm gonna always. It's kind of like what this guy said here. He said, actually, I guess it wasn't here. It was here. No, where was it? Must have been on this one. Where he just says, play the one that you will have the most fun with, which, is usually what I do. The whole point of playing WoW is to have fun. So we'll do whatever I think is going to be the most enjoyable, and hopefully the most enjoyable for people to watch as well. And I do enjoy the Melee Hunter a lot, and I think it's really cool that they're adding dual specialization. Although I think they said it's not going to be in the game right away. But with dual spec, what we can do is we could do a Melee Hunter, but we could still build out the Marksman Hunter build. So if we wanted to do raids, we could use the Marksman, because people won't invite me into a raid as a Melee Hunter. Believe me, I've tried. But with a Marks build, we could basically do raids as Marks, and hopefully acquire some of the gear in the raids that we could then use for our Melee Hunter build, which would be really cool. But yeah, I think I'm going to do both. I think I'm just going to level up a character on the PvP server, and I'm going to level up a character on the hardcore server. And I'm just going to rotate streams. Maybe a couple days a week we'll stream the Melee Hunter, and a couple days a week we'll stream on the PvP server. But if I do the PvP server, I'm going to probably... if I do the PvP server, what class would I play? That's an interesting question. I don't know. I'd be tempted to go Rogue. Or Rogue, or maybe even Retribution Paladin could be fun. I think Rep Paladin's kind of fun. So I think that would be kind of fun. Do a Rep Paladin. That way we could do a Protection Paladin, Rep Paladin dual spec on the PvP server, and then on the hardcore server we'll do a Marksman Melee Hunter. Anyways, I'll catch you guys later. Or we could do, if we wanted to be really cheesy and just go easy mode and play a class that's brain dead, we could just do a BM Hunter on the PvE. I love Hunters. I do. I think Hunters is probably my favorite class to play. And I think it's a lot of that's because I enjoy the pets. I enjoy trying out different pets, and it's just cool being able to tame different pets. And I like the mechanics of having to go out and tame different pets and learn different skills. And then once you learn them, you drop that pet and go back to your pet and train it with the new skills. I always thought that was kind of cool. But I will catch you guys later. Hope everybody's having a good one. And like I said, we'll definitely be streaming Thursday night, although it is my wedding anniversary Thursday. So I may be busy until I might not be streaming until pretty late Thursday night. And I will catch you then. I will catch you then.
Once upon a time, now most of us are hanging by a thread. 20 years have disappeared. We're older and more wise, but our favorite day is coming once again. Darling, it's fresh, getting happy about a chest, couple potions or a 6-line back, those little things that take us back to simpler times. Though it's fresh, playing 112, we know best, running dead mines and rage fire, picking briar, thorn and peace. Will you play Christmas fresh? Will you play Christmas fresh with me? Playing some vanilla on Christmas, going in this Christmas. Yeah, we're caroling to be our Won't you play Christmas fresh with me? No bots, no boosts, no gold to sell. A world that doesn't mind. From gadgets into snowy winter spring. A timeless epic journey that we struggle with each time. The zones, the quests, the simple joys they bring. Darling, it's fresh, getting hyped up for the chest. Couple potions or a 10-slot back, those little things that take us back to simpler times. Though it's fresh, playing 112, we know best, running dead mines or rage fire, picking briar, thorn and peace. Won't you play Christmas fresh? Won't you play Christmas fresh with me? Playing some vanilla on Christmas, going in this Christmas. Yeah, we're caroling to be our Won't you play Christmas fresh with me? Playing some vanilla on Christmas, going in this Christmas. Yeah, we're caroling to be our Won't you play Christmas fresh with me? Snowflakes are falling in Dunmurrow. Torrens and Mogor all dressed like gnomes. From Barrens to Elwyn to Silver Pine, there's just one thing on our minds. With every zone, with every quest, I hope you'll make it with no deaths. 'Cause it won't feel like Christmas without fresh. Buffing each other with mistletoe, gingerbread cookies with milk that's ice cold, and Stormwind is covered in Christmas lights. This is the game of our time, and every zone is packed with players all dinging, just watching all that old vanilla it's singing. Azeroth is filled with holiday cheer. Christmas in Westfall this year. With every zone,